Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto married into a samurai clan. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by the Tundra Devil 77 and link in description and support rider. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. A new beginning and a new world. Naruto Uzumaki, a boy who has seen much hardships at a very young age, is now wandering through the gates delivering back his teammate towards the nearest hospital, ignoring all the glares of the people around him. Yes, he endured where others would break, he lived where others would die, he would have broke due to the hate, the beatings and the abuse that he has endured all his life, but like always, he endured. Like the knucklehead he always is, he never gave in, he never let everyone get the better of him, despite being outclassed by betters rather in or out of the field of battle. However, that all changed shortly after the retrieval mission. During his injury treatment by Tsunade, an Anbu appeared informing the two of an urgent meeting ASAP. After the diagnosis of the blonde, he received a punch from his crush. Sakura went on a major rant, demanding why in Kami's name did he hurt her precious Sasuke-kun. I had no choice, Sakura-chan, it was either fight him and carry him all the way back, or let him go and be a tool for that snake team to use him as an experiment. You and I both know how dangerous Orochimaru is back in the forest of death, you should understand that by now. Said Naruto, almost at the point of crying, but Sakura never saw it, instead she slapped him right in the face. You know what, everybody was right about you, you're nothing but trouble, a person who will never accomplish anything to anyone, you'll always be nothing but an idiot, the very most is what everyone always call you, a demon. She walked off leaving a broken Naruto on his own. After the altercation, he walked towards the Hokage tower. While walking, he sees the villagers smiling at him while minding their own business. This confused Naruto, for the only times when they were smiling whenever he was around was when he was beaten by them or being berated by them to kill himself, claiming that you're a waste of space that needs to be irradiated from the face of this village, and once you die, our deceased loved ones will finally know peace. This alerted Naruto to keep his guard up at all times to ensure that he would defend himself, despite making a claim to protect his home at all times. He made it to the Hokage tower only for an Anbu to approach him and body flicker to what looks like a judgment room. With all the clan heads looking disappointed on one side and a group of civilians that make up the civilian council with looks of victory, like they have just won one of the biggest wars in shinobi history, oh the bravado. It didn't take long before Elder with a wooden cane and a right arm and eye bandaged yet looking very stoic despite his overall injuries. This was of course Danzo Shimura, head advisor and former leader of the disbanded Root Anbu. This court is now in session. The Warhawk said in a stoic expression, earning a glare from the goddamn Hokage. What the hell is the meaning of this? And more importantly, why are you leading this court case? Demanded Tsunade, as he never ordered such thing. This is for the good of Konoha, Tsunade-sama, and it has everything to do with it, Koharu said in disgust, wondering why they agreed to Hiruzen to allow the boy to live. What about Naruto was cut off by one of the civilian council members. Shut up, demon. You have no right to speak to your betters. The man in charge of the merchant guild practically screamed in hate. As I was saying, we are here to bring the crimes of Uzumaki Naruto into the light. Danzo said, getting everyone's attention, earning a glare from Tsunade. You didn't answer my question. She said in a dangerous tone. Listen first before you question my motives, Hokage-sama. Homura spoke, letting the former Root commander to speak. Naruto Uzumaki, you are charged with insubordination, treason, and attempted murder. He said, going over the first charge. Insubordination. For not killing Gaara of the Sand, a weapon that almost destroyed countless lives, had Sasuke Uchiha hadn't subdued the monster. He stated, to which the entire civilian council nodded in agreement, earning a raised eyebrow from the Nara clan head. And where did you get this information from? My son has informed me that it was Naruto who subdued Gaara and befriended the boy, causing him to aid the retrieval team if I am not mistaken. Shikaku said as he narrowed his eyes in seriousness, the laziness leaving his body in an instant. We've received testimonies from his teammates, including his sensei. Koharu said as she pulled out 3 documents detailing the events that occurred. They appeared to be stamped with the Hokage seal, indicating that they are legit. She said with a smirk. That's funny. Naruto said as he looked at them with disdain. Wasn't Hokage Jiji fighting Orochimaru during those events, so no doubt you forged this and stole some stamps to frame me as being an incompetent human. The blonde Jinchuriki spoke in seriousness, shocking those who know him to be a loudmouth knucklehead. Watch your tone, brat. Homura said in annoyance. As esteemed advisors of the Hokage, we have to take initiative during a current crisis that involves all emergency powers are to go to the people who advise the outer and inner workings of the village, that includes us utilizing the emergency powers. He said as Danzo went ahead and stated the next charge. Not before his table being broken in half by the goddamn Hokage. No, you answer me when I'm speaking, who the hell gave you permission to even have this trial? Tsunade demanded, not liking her authority be undermined by these fossil fuels. Danzo smirked as he gave her a scroll with a land of fire insignia, much to the slug princess's confusion as she snatched the scroll and read its contents. Her eyes widen in shock and disbelief as narrowed her eyes at the still stoic Warhawk. Now that you're done reading the scroll, may you please sit down and let me go on. Danzo said in an almost amusing tone to which Tsunade spit at his direction. Before any questions me once again, the Fire Daimyo informed Hiruzen about the crimes he committed during the Chunin exams, with us informing him about the retrieval mission, informing him that this boy was going to end the Uchiha lineage that was vital for the village's standing. He said in almost angered tone, shutting up any argument present. Next charge. Danzo said as he flipped a paper. Treason. You sent a letter to Hiruzen explaining that you shall leave due to the treatment you received, feeling like you should be treated more like the Uchiha clan nobleman at the time. The Warhawk said as the advisors snarled at this. Is this true, Naruto? Asked Tsunade in curiosity. I did send a note. Naruto said in serious, shocking the clan heads. But I never said anything about being treated with royalty as this jutsu stealers. He spat in anger, never wanting to be a Uchiha like Sasuke. He would rather die than be compared to that of the Uchiha heir. All I wanted was to be recognized as a human, all I wanted was to have somebody to look up to, a family that I can call Kachan or Tusan. Not as a demon as everyone in this village calls me. Naruto said, angered that he didn't even have anyone to trust. Not even his own team. All the clan heads drew concerns about the show of emotions they haven't seen before from the knucklehead brat, they were hurting inside, knowing they made plans to have him adopted from a different family. Only to be denied by the Hokage and his advisors for unknown reasons, literally putting him in an apartment all by himself for no reason. Yet he claimed to the next generation that he viewed the village hidden in the leaf as a family. Yet basically abandoning the boy in the process. This is concerning. Hiashi stated, giving the other clan heads a raised eyebrow. Answer me this, Naruto-san. How do you feel about Konoha? Asked the Hyuga head in curiosity. I hate that I'm constantly beaten and tortured on a daily basis. Naruto said in hate, surprising the Shinobi Council. But that doesn't mean I will destroy the village when I'm given the chance. Naruto said as he let some tears. Despite everyone that gives me those glares of hate and disdain. I still have people who are worth protecting, people who I view as family. Even Hokage Jiji, even though he and every clan never wanted me in the first place. He said, now forming into a stoic demeanor. This stabbed the heart of the clan heads, claiming to protect everyone and care for those in need, while ignore the same child who needed help. Hiashi, while angered inwardly at the statement, spoke. It's clear that Naruto-san has no love for us, only hate and resentment. The Hyuga head turned to the last Senju. Hokage-sama. I highly advise you to banish the boy immediately. He said in a stoic tone, shocking everyone. Let me finish, Hiashi-sama. Danzo said as he read the last charge. Attempted murder. He said as everyone's eyes were wide. You almost killed the heir of the last bloodline that is worth more than what you could earn in a full life. Sasuke Uchiha, the next in line to become the head of the Uchiha clan. Danzo stated. And how would you know that I attempted to kill him if I was ordered to bring him back alive? The blonde Uzumaki asked. To which Danzo smirked and pulled out photos of the fight. The first one showed a wounded but bloodthirsty Naruto with red eyes and slits in an orange aura, indicating he is using the Kaibai chakra. The second photo showed Sasuke blocking some strikes. By the look of his face, he looked as if he was getting overwhelmed, struggling to keep up with the blonde. The third photo showed that Naruto shoved a Rasengan, piercing the stomach of the Uchiha whose eyes were wide and looked to be passed out, indicating he could have died at that moment. And who took those photos? Asked Shikaku with curiosity. It was Sakura Haruno herself. She admitted to not trusting that boy into bringing back her Uchiha teammate, resulting in her tailing him and observe the battle from afar, taking photos that would prove beneficial for our current moment. Kaheru said, using the pink-haired girl's emotions to manipulating her into going in and make evidence to aid the advisor's agenda. Shikaku, I thought your son only selected the boys to go retrieve Sasuke Uchiha back. Tsunade said, demanding answers. I did too, and I sure as hell know for a fact that Sakura was never a part of that team. The Nara head said in frustration. Nor did I even allow Sakura authorization to leave the village in the first place. She said his killer intent grew every second. Regardless, we were correct on our intuition. And all you need to do is announce his punishment. Danzo said, and before the slug Sanin even opened her mouth, Hamura spoke. I know this seems wrong for all the wrong reasons, but think about the damage he could have caused. While I acknowledge the fact that the Suna siblings aiding us, it still was a risk to even allow him to live. He could have continued his onslaught against the shinobi of the Hidden Leaf, he could have been trained. Gaara could be just using Naruto's naive weakness to his advantage, should they fight once more. The advisor of Konoha spoke. Okage-sama, you have two decisions, either you banish this boy from the fire country, never to return here. Or you could execute him and bring his head to the daimyo because he demands results of the trial, one way or another. Kaheru pitched in. Tsunade stood silent, rather take the chance of banishing the only person that convinced her into taking the title in the first place, the feeling was unpleasant, viewing this as karma for abandoning her home. Go ahead then, banish me. Everyone turned to see Naruto with a broken yet calm demeanor. Naruto, you can't seriously abandon your home. Tsunade was cut off by Naruto as he gave her back her necklace. This hellhole is not my home, Tsunade-sama. Naruto said in a formal poster, shocking the slug Sannin since she's never heard this knucklehead speak in a cold yet painful tone. I'm sorry that things have to end this way, Bachan, but I guess my dream of becoming Hokage was never meant to be. He spoke in a heartfelt tone, showing the eyes of a child pleading for his life to end, yet was overwhelmed by the amount of will to keep going further. You were never even going to become Hokage to begin with, Demon, the fire daimyo personally made sure of that. Danzo said, trying to break the boy's mind further for his plans to come into fruition. Please grant me my wish. Naruto said, not bothered by the comment that was spoken. Tsunade held her tears as she spoke the words that she will no doubt haunt her dreams. Uzumaki Naruto. She said with authoritative tone. It has come to the decision of myself, due to your past actions regarding your methods of bringing back the Uchiha and wounds that could have resulted him into his death, you are hereby banished from Konoha. Tsunade said as she was ready to cry at any moment but continued. You have 2 days to pack your belongings, if you don't leave within the time period, then you will be forced out by the Anbu. She said as she reached her hand out. I will need your headband please. She barely said in hesitation, to which Naruto did so. I'm glad to see justice was served. Homura said, earning the glares of most of the clanheads while Hiashi sat silently. This meeting is adjourned. She said with anger as she left while the civilian council cheered that the demon is finally getting what's coming to him, not knowing the untold consequences that it could bring to the village. But also their very fates. FLASHBACK day before his leave. Naruto was sitting atop of the Hokage monument, pondering on what he shall do for the long run. Sure, he could try to make a peaceful living in the wave country, maybe help out Inari, along with any others who are willing to learn to be a shinobi or guardians, in order to protect their home from people like Geto. Or maybe join Suna, since Gaara would mostly likely be thrilled that his first friend is staying in Suna, maybe actually get proper training than that scarecrow of a sensei actually showed for it. Maybe act as a bodyguard for the spring daimyo Koyuki, since she is still grateful for the blonde genin for saving her life and freeing her and her country from an infinite blizzard. She would love to have him stay in the land of snow, maybe help out with new innovations with machinery, since the knucklehead does surprisingly have a thing or two about new technology. And unknowingly to Naruto after the incident, Koyuki did indeed develop feelings for the blonde genin, for both his selfless deeds and his bravery to protect others above himself. However, all three options have one major flaw: he will be known by not only other shinobi villages, but also other daimyos, not only making himself as a target, but also the place he reside at, making it harder to find a good place to settle in. His thoughts were interrupted when he sensed a presence behind him. He turned around only to receive a tight embrace from Tsunade, Shizune, and surprisingly, Hinata. Hey guys, he said in a sad tone. I'm sorry Naruto, I wish I could have done more to prevent this order from happening, but those damn snakes played behind my back, now I'll never spend time with my godson. Tsunade said as she started to cry. Her godson, despite having plans to make sure he was treated right in this village, went down the drain thanks to some hate-filled councilmen. We'll miss you Naruto, despite what others will say or do, we'll always remember you as our favorite knucklehead, said Shizune as she ruffled his hair, causing him to chuckle, giving him a warm feeling that he's been longing for since he was born. Love. The trio broke from the hug, only for Hinata to move close to him and did the most unexpected thing that no one has done. She grabbed Naruto's cheeks and kissed him deeply. This shocked Naruto greatly, only for to melt and return the kiss with great earnest. What lasted for seconds felt like a lifetime he wished lasted for eternity. But sadly, all good things come to an end. They broke the makeout session only for Hinata to speak after she caught enough air. I know this is unexpected, especially after everything you've been through. Just know Naruto-kun, I had feelings for you since we've met, and although I prefer to keep you for myself, I could tell that certain Kunuchi have feelings for you too. I shall cherish you in my heart for as long as I live and live, knowing that you love me too, whispered Hinata with a blush as red as an apple. She continued. I'm sorry for hiding this for so long Naruto-kun, but I just couldn't bring myself to tell you right away during the academy. If it wasn't for Tsunade-sama and Shizune-san, I would have still kept my feelings towards you hidden until you noticed. She said sadly while lower her head down in shame. only to receive a loving embrace and being picked up and received a lover's kiss by Naruto himself. This made Hinata wide-eyed, but slowly shot them and enjoyed the moment and returned it along with a hug with great earnest. Both reluctantly broke apart, breathing heavily, only for Naruto to speak. "I understand, Hinata-chan." He pecked her on the cheek, which caused the shy Hyuga to blush but smile, while Naruto continued, "Well, this is a surprise. I'm open to the receive and return your love tenfold. While I may leave this place, always know that you will now hold a place inside my heart that can never be taken away, along with any and everyone that's in it, believe it." He exclaimed but whispered in her ear. "However, the downside of you telling me now is that there are now other them who shared their love with me. I'm sorry, Hatana." He finished whispering, causing Hinata to nod in understanding, blaming herself for being too cowardly to act on her feelings. "I accept my punishment. To share you with whoever holds your love, but that doesn't mean that I will abandon you," she said, returning her lips to his, solidifying her love that she need. But also know that she can share him with two people and maybe more because she know how both Kanuchi felt and still do. Referring to a certain brunette with two Chinese-style buns tied by her hair with extensive knowledge of weaponry and a certain Suna Kunwaichi with her hair tied by 4 pigtails with an expert use of a wind affinity. After the events of the Chunin exams, these two thought that he was gonna lose, however they were proven wrong after the defeat of Niji Hyuga. They of course felt a mix of emotions, ranging from complete shock to developing crush with the so-called dead last of Konoha. Naturally, they thought their internal conflicts were temporarily until the defeat of Gaara. This cemented their love for the grinning blonde, showing not only his tenacity to never give up, his pride to protect and defend others, but also showing compassion to those who have dealt with pain that he endured but can relate to, who not only changed Gaara but put him in the right direction to begin anew. While Naruto was not expecting compensation regardless of the heat of the moment, he was received a kiss on the cheek by Tamari, thanking him for changing her little brother despite everything he'd been through, and another kiss on the cheek by Tenten for saving her life twice during the Forest of Death and the rescue from Shikaku. The two females glared each other for a brief moment due to their past encounter during the exams and now kissing their savior hero. Their stares were interrupted when Naruto hugged them both via one arm for each, breaking down, knowing he gained some form of acknowledgement since the Wave Country. The girls not only felt sympathy but also love towards him, seeing his blue eyes that shows conflict, made an agreement to put past events aside and care for Naruto. They of course shook hands and giggled a bit, know what the future of this potential harem will be. Naruto his thought were interrupted when Tsunade spoke to him in an important tone. "Before you leave, you are going to receive your inheritance, something that my sensei should have told you about, but decided not to due to reasons you and I know," she said, referring to the pathetic council. "Follow me, we only have until tomorrow, also I'll tell the whole village once you leave to not only see the look on their faces, but to take a photo of it and remember it until I step down," she said laughing evilly. End of flashback. After that exchange, Naruto now have been informed of who his parent were. He couldn't believe he is the son of the red Habanero Kushina Uzumaki and the yellow Flash Minato Namikaze himself. Sure, he was happy that he will at least leave knowing who his parents are. But at the same time angry for being put in the position that he had no say to begin with, didn't even bother putting some kind of contingency to help him throughout his lifetime. And again, he was born during the event so nothing could have been established automatically. "I'll sort my internal conflict when I'm out of this kami-forsaken village." As he began to walk towards the GATS with his inheritance scrolls inside his backpack, he could hear the villagers celebrating early. Glad that the stupid demon is finally punished for his sins. He can finally rot along with whatever whore parents that brought him into our world. I hope he rots in hell for his crimes. Insult after insult until he reached the gate only to see the Sand siblings and Konoha 12- Sasuke and Sakura giving him last time embraces and in trio of girls' case, a lover's kiss and embrace, causing him to return it, making them to blush and smile at the same time. Gaara informed Naruto that he will let Suna know and to extent every nation about this, regardless of what the blonde knucklehead had to say. Naturally Naruto is grateful, hugged his now brother in arms, and promised he will see them again one day. About far off, Kakashi was watching, not bothering to say goodbye for reasons he already know, but did not touch on for his personal ego. In the outside, he was sad to see his student get banished for doing what Kakashi's father did. But on the inside, he was happy. Happy that he can now focus on training his best student, the student that he claimed to the other senseis that he can change the world for the better, claiming that the dead last will always be beneath anyone or anything in the grand scene of things. Clearly that decision shall be paid back in more ways than one. Unknown to the rest of the village, two figures were watching from afar on the rooftops, examining the events unfolding. One was wearing what looks to be a mix of samurai and traditional shinobi attire, dating back to its original word of a shinobi, while wearing a demon mask with a small black cape with twin mountains and a circle as a crest covering his katana and tanto with white wrappings as the grip straped by his hip, while having a kodachi straped behind his right side of his BACK ghost armor in black dye. The second figure looks to wear an outfit similar to a Ronin, but tattered and torn to what looks like scratches from previous battles, having a cape made of weed and dead grass, almost resembling a scarecrow, along with a straw hat that goes with such a worn-out attire, having equipped with just a katana with a black cloth, as wrappings for the grip, however, has what appears to have a fox running down the grip of the katana deadly rival's attire. Looks to me that we have found the boy, and here I thought our spies were exaggerating info, I stand corrected, said the demon-masked figure. Indeed my friend, Argito will be most pleased at this development, I sense him too, having so much potential to grow as warrior, and as a shinobi too. The second figure said as he chuckled and continued. Can I train him first though? As much as I would love for him to train in the shinobi arts, I want to spend time with the little gaki, train him to learn and master the sword, he said with a grin and glee in his eyes, finally having someone worthy of upholding the weight and technique of a kensei. That all depends on Argito, you know that as much as I do, said the demon mask shinobi. Agreed, although we also must account for this Danzo Shimura, we both know he is not worthy of the title Shimura, especially if our sources from our spies that gathered are indeed true of all the atrocities he committed for the so-called good of Konoha, said, the Ronin spatting the statement with venom, using such excuses to commit crimes that are considered inhuman, is a crime punishable by death brought by the kami himself. We'll deal with this Danzo at a later time, for now we must find a way for the boy to reach our homeland, and I have a plan. He turned towards the Ronin Ryuzo, I need to cause a distraction, I must negotiate with this Hokage of the Hidden Leaf with a deal. The Ronin now named Ryuzo, sighed and gave him a light punch to his right arm. You better not cause trouble like you did back in the Mist Village, Yagura pales in comparison to this mission, and we both know how that went, even if I was enjoying that fight way too much to my liking, you started that in the first place. Ryuzo said as we went back to memory lane reminiscing and enjoying the fight with the three-tailed Jinchuriki. Nevertheless, begin your part. Once you finish, inform Lord Shimura of this development, have our spies focus on Konoha, I have a feeling they have a lot of secrets we could use to our advantage. Replied the demon masked ninja. Alright Jin, just come back in one piece, also don't pull a stand and fight stance, I do not want to pull you out again, Ryuzo said as he shushined away. Leaving a grinning Jin Sakai to body flicker to his destination. With Ryuzo was walking aimlessly at where appears to be a town square, an area that is most populated with civilians and shinobi alike, crowd celebrating early, knowing that the so-called Kyubi brat or demon fox no longer resides in their eyes, the most perfect and impenetrable hidden village in all the 5 nations. Naturally, this boils Ryuzo's blood, having to deal with such neglect and abuse from these same people since birth, reminds him somewhat of his early years, or at least during the time when he faced off against his friend Jin during the summer tournament hosted by Lord Nagao. Eager to show his worth that he is indeed worthy to become recognized as a samurai. He invites all prominent and prestigious clan heads of his homeland to show them his skill in order to be a part of something bigger than just himself. However, his desires, his hard work were crushed when his friend beat him, showing greater skill than he could ever hope to be. All the eyes, all the praise, goes straight to the Jito's nephew. And where does Ryuzo end up? Nothing, not even a single word of recognition, only from the Victor childhood friend. So he left that day to join the Straw Hat Ronin, somewhat leading them by salvaging food from lakes or open grasslands. It burned him for a time until he started to enjoy such moments. While he did enjoy leading and caring for his Straw Hat faction, he did also enjoy learning their ways of refined swordsmanship and kenjutsu fighting styles, while not neglecting unarmed combat which suits their elemental manipulation. Teaching the ways of how to adapt and survive, he will never forget the words one of his masters taught him, one who enjoyed the simple things in life and the love for tea. Failure is only an opportunity to begin again. While it is always best to believe in oneself, a little help from others can be a great blessing. Those same words still ring every time he resolves himself and others. Ryuzo always viewed that man as uncle he never had, the very most, a father figure towards him and his Ronin brothers. That's how the Straw Hat Ronin, while not samurai, still carry their samurai ideals and help those in need regardless of such payments, only for honor. Hajiro and my masters would have loved to raise you young gaki. Ryuzo thought as he reminisced the fun memories his brothers had during his Ronin adventures, even more fun when he can potentially train the little blonde and have even more fun in the Hiyashi Springs or bugging other clans such as Adachi or Nagao. His thoughts were put on hold in order to begin the plan. He grabbed a gourd from a random villager who was about to drink his ass off, went up to what looks to be a stage of some sorts, no doubt having some high-class musicians beginning to play some demon-slandering music. He simply pushed the announcer off the stage and used a Badajutsu strike to cut all instruments, causing everyone to turn towards the disturbance. He casually walked towards the microphone and spoke in a casual tone, receiving odd looks from the civilian populace. "To all you idiots and so-called shinobi of the Hidden Leaf," he said in a condescending manner. "I am Ryuzo, apprentice of Kajiro, hereby challenge any idiot who claims to be worthy of having the will of fire into a fight, a simple one-on-one if you wish unless I get bored," he said as he reaches for what looks to be a bag to what looks to be a shit ton of currency. He tosses it up in the air, only to land in front of it, opening it, showing what looks to be trinkets of gold, diamonds, and ryo. This piqued both civilians and shinobi alike, especially some in the Anbu ranks that are off duty, he continued. "I'm willing to risk my life for my fortune over the past years, and I heard that Konoha has a fair share of strong shinobi and warriors alike, although I am disappointed that the so-called Kyubi brat is gone, he would have surely earned this bag, despite being labeled dead last of all things," he stated with a smirk of anticipation waiting for the response. This shocked, intrigued, but also enraged the onlookers who were listening to his proposal, hearing that his random nobody claimed that a disgrace would easily win, hurt the pride of those present. One Chunin had the ego and balls to speak up. "Hey idiot, if you really want to fight then come on, I'll show you that I'm far more superior than that demon disgrace of a shinobi," said the Chunin arrogantly stepping to the stage. "Hell, you know what? Why are you stepping up? Everybody knows samurai and Ronin are no match for shinobi of any rank. That katana won't save you when we got jutsus, you country boar of a baka," he stated, and he and the crowd began to laugh at this Ronin, due to having the balls to oppose those who are better than him. Ryuzo smirked. "You know what, since you bring up a very good point, let me change a rule. How about I take on everybody who dares to challenge me, everyone against little old me," he said lazily as he gestured any and everyone worthy of challenging him to come at me. The Chunin, along with 4 others, moved with respected speed, moving to kill this lowlife and claim their rightful prize. Ryuzo simple stood still, his right arm ready to sheath his katana, waiting for the right moment. The Chunin charged, his kunai on the right hand, raising it to strike, aiming for the head. Was it striking distance then? Slash. Everyone froze as they see the once prideful Chunin reduced to a screaming banshee holding his right arm as it was decapitated with a single simple strike, holding it in pain and desperation. The 4 were shocked beyond belief, 3 snapped out of it and went for the kill, hopefully avenging their comrade and claiming the bag of valuables for themselves. Ryuzo simply resheathed his katana and closed his eyes and spoke. "Shinobim. Chime Takina HMYM Dance of Death." Lethal embrace as he moved with tremendous speed, striking each opponent with a lethal strike to their weak limbs, disabling them from continuing their shinobi careers. The last Chunin witnessed the horrors that one man demonstrated. A Ronin, no, a former samurai, just took out 4 Chunin with individual strikes. Close combat was out of the window, so he decided to make hand signs and cried out. "Mizu no Suteru. Mizu no Dangan water style. Water bullet." He breathed and released a bullet of water through his mouth, hoping to at least hit him with this shot, if not kill him. Ryuzo smirked and cooked his katana back, holding the grip with 2 hands, firmly placing his right foot back and left foot forward, and spoke. "Dengoku no Sudareki Heavenly Strike." He moved with lightning speed and thrusted his blade from the right side of his body, cutting not only through the bullet, but also the last Chunin himself, having a horizontal cut from right to left, resulting in a cut in half. Chunin collapsing, lying, trying to call for help, only to get his heart stabbed by the same blade he got cut in half by, ending his life. The crowd were in fear, so much so that one Anbu who was off duty enjoying the festivities demand all units to apprehend, if not end this Ronin, mostly capture for interrogation to Adachi, hoping to gain much information about his fighting styles and technique to add to the Anbus's Kenjutsu arsenal. Ryuzo, well sensing more shinobi and Anbus heading towards his direction, decided to play with some of his food, grabbing his hard-earned fortune, and spoke in a childish yet serious tone that would make some having chills down their spine. "If you really want me so bad, then come and get me," he yelled, and he jumped from rooftop to rooftop, attracting more shinobi on the way. "Oh, how I love it when distractions go my way." Ryuzo though as he ran away from his hunters. With Jin was watching as everything went down. He thought how Ryuzo was gonna get himself killed these days, but knows he's dealt through worse. He put those thoughts aside and snuck into the Hokage office, observing the Hokage for a while doing tedious paperwork. An Anbu appeared and informed the situation. Danzo, well present, had issued the order on the best Anbu Konoha has on this THRE18, knowing he sent his root agents to capture and force him to join him for further use. She agreed, already knowing that he's sending his not-so-secret organization just to get them killed. Both the Anbu and Danzo left the office. Things were quiet until she got sick of it and acknowledged her uninvited guest. "If you're going to stare at me while doing this crap, at least give me an excuse to not do paperwork," she said in an almost authoritative tone. "I'll be honest, I almost didn't sense you there until I heard the tiniest of creaks," she said, as she got up and got to a fighting stance. Jin, well amused, decided to show himself, jumping off the ceiling supports and landed gracefully on the ground. "Relax Hokage-sama, I'm not here to fight you, I am here with a proposal," he stated with tone sounding that his words carry truth and bowed respectfully. "I am here to take Naruto away from these so-called elemental nations and take him to my homeland of Japan. There he will not only be trained in our arts to ensure that he is a strong warrior both in samurai and shinobi standards, but also get what he was robbed in the first place, a family that cares for him," proposed Jin, with a hint of sadness, knowing it's hard to live with the fact that both parents died at an early age. If it wasn't for his uncle and those around him caring for young Jin, he could have most likely ended up dead in the first place. Tsunade, while listening, was intrigued to the offer, still have doubts, sure she wants what's best for her son, but does not trust this random foreigner from out of nowhere. She broke the silence. "First I want questions answered, who are you and what is it that you want with Naruto?" she demanded, not wanting to give any information to a stranger without knowing some answers. Jin, being unwavering towards the slug Sannin, he spoke. "My uncle, Lord Shimura, was once a great friend to Naruto's father, they were both like me, and my friend that's causing ruckus right now, they have grown up together, fought together side by side, grew stronger and adapted together through warfare alone. However, something called to him that made Minato go south, towards the element nations," Jin said, letting the information sink in for the goddamn Hokage as he spoke once more. "He spoke that fate has a place for him, it's calling him to make a living there naturally. It broke my uncle, his only true rival left to pursuing his own ambitions, but accepted it," the foreign shinobi said, allowing Swan to process the knowledge before continuing. Knowing that at least he's writing his own story, not expecting to take the same road his ancestors took just because they followed outdated tradition. Jin said, and both he and Tsunade chuckled together, being told similar things in their lives. Shortly after Naruto's birth, Lord Shimura was informed that a fox that's the size of Mount Fuji was spotted by one of our spies hidden to ensure that Minato or any close ones were safe. However, when word reached out that he was considered a demon, we were baffled to say the least," Jin said, which piqued some form of interest from Tsunade. "Would you kindly explain to why?" she said almost dangerously, not wanting to let this person insult her godson. "Those demons you claim them to be never originated here, they belong to us. And they were stolen by your kind," he stated bluntly. "And to answer your first question, my name is Jin Sakai, head of Clan Sakai, right-hand clan to my uncle named Sato Shimura Jito of Clan Shimura, the clan leading Tsushima," he said in a formal tone. "Others know me as the ghost of Tsushima, the first shinobi," he stated respectfully. "While yes, there were more ninja clans like Iga and Koga, they were not united clans, let alone a shinobi village that can operate in unison. That's why Jin sent envoys to resolve disputes between the clans. Through long talks and some disagreements, both put their differences aside and agreed to not only protect their homeland, but to also teach the eager next generation their ninja shinobi ways. Starting with Tsushima, thus making Tsushima the first shinobi village, or in this case, the shinobi nation." Tsunade was shocked, this changed everything from a philosophical and detailed standpoint, which prompted her to ask with caution. "If what you say is true, then how is it that they were brought here to begin with?" almost yelled Tsunade. "Thank Kami I placed some privacy and soundproof seals," thought both Jin and Tsunade. Jin pulled out documents, throwing them towards the table, gesturing her to read them. "You can thank your loyal and prestigious clan of your Hokage-sama." She read the documents, rereading to ensure she did not miss any slight details. What she read shook her to the core. Turns out before Madara attacked Hashirama, Madara had these tailed beasts token during his small trips, using his EMS to ensure all memories of their previous lifetimes were gone and forgotten. How the Baijas are known as intelligent but savage demons by the Uchiha ghost, Madara. "Before I show you what you're about to see, remember to keep this a secret. The last thing I need right now is for this Danzo Shimura to plant spy networks in my land," he demanded, to which Tsunade nodded, since she too did not like the old Warhawk by any means, but what happened was unexpected, her eyes nearly popped out of her head. Two spirit-like ghosts appeared next to Jin. One was clearly a giant Oni demon with red skin and traditional crimson red samurai armor with a metal kanabo ready to fight to the death. The second figure is by contrast, a blue dragon, right eye being golden and the left eye being red, having blue scales, and oddly enough, a chain going around its body, almost as to show it some kind of weapon to use similar to its tail. Tsunade noticed the aura of both wind and lighting emanating from the ancient beast. No words need to be spoken, only action, as the two dove into Tsunade's head, giving her the understanding of Jinna philosophy and how his way of growing and every adaptive homeland changes throughout the years. How things for the people in Yokai walk the same streets, how big demon-like weasels with scythe-like blades attached to its limbs are assisting humans chopping down and collecting wood to build new innovative and enduring houses. How an imposing demon with purple skin and horns with two swords with resemblance to fire and lighting elements, while the sword he wields also resembles the water element, while he commands army of loyal yokai to defend its home from outland invaders. How that demon leader and the shogun shook hands, agreeing that both sides shall look out for one another, despite the differences of both ways. Lastly shows a warrior who has the strength to carry a kanabo-like club and a giant gourd with red rope tied to it, assisting a group of humans training to have the strength necessary to wield the most heaviest Japanese weapons, while making them understand the fundamentals of life. Tsunade came out of the flood of memory lane, only to see the same two ghosts stood beside her, nodding and disappearing. Before she could ask, Jin explained. They are called guardian spurts. They allow to show the potential host memories of both past lifetimes and the previous host's memories. They still reside in me. I just gave you a quick rundown to how things operate in my homeland, Jin said, to which Tsunade thanking Kami for such a weird yet enjoyable day without paperwork. Alright Jin, I'll agree. I also have a plan to not only help him out, but to help your people out also in terms of having a form of energy in case you guys. Before she can continue, Jin chuckled a bit, amused but grateful of the proposal of getting knowledge. Well, I appreciate your friendly gesture of learning this so-called chakra. We have our only way of energy. It's called Ki or Kai. It's similar, but way denser and much more efficient. Dying from energy exhaustion is out of the question. It helps us get acquainted to new skills. It strengthens the body through meditation, training and focus, but the most big difference is that it allows us to manipulate the elements through body movements of martial arts. Explained the ghost of Tsushima, to which Tsunade became curious but did not want to press further. We have people who are masters in their craft and expect them teaching Naruto the same, said Jin, recalling such physical and mental training in order to pass such dangerous trials. That goes for all samurai. Take the quote, the strongest is only as good as the weakest to heart, ensuring anyone who is willing to continue must go all the way. Very well Jin Sakai, I shall send a message to Naruto stating that a boat will be heading towards a new home for him, said Tsunade with tears starting to flow down, knowing that she will never see her Gaki, only for her to receive a scroll detailing a technique. This is the Instanto technique. It allows the person to instantly teleport to his or her location by detecting their energy source, but either way, do not worry Hokage-sama, I, along with my friends and family, will treat him as family. It's the least I can do for my surrogate nephew, he stated, only to receive a bone-crushing hug from the busty blonde. While he may be compassed by nature, he still blushed red due to her assets and that she indeed is a beautiful woman, despite not knowing she was a bit old. Tsunade. She responds, my name is Tsunade Senju, daughter of Hashirama Senju, and it's honor meeting you Jin, and thank you for your generosity towards him. She spoke softly, crying her eyes out. It's no problem Tsunade-san, now if you'll excuse me. He broke the hug and broke the window, much to Tsunade's confusion until she heard him speak. You might want to brace yourself, he said cheekily as he focused his Kai throughout his body. What happened next shocked the slug Sannin as the ghost of Tsushima forced all his killer intent to the entire village, causing everyone to stop at the mere pressure of such power, as if Kami cursed them with terrible omens, like time itself deemed it. Like the Kyuubi returned and seeks vengeance from the dead. This pressure, it's unbearable, thought every citizen before passing out or collapsed from the sheer killer intent. To think he carries so much to achieve such a feat must mean he's more stronger than I thought Tsunade. As she experienced such killer intent before from people such as Orochimaru and her sensei herself, but never has she dealt with a scale this big to affect a village such as Konoha. He stopped the Ki and turned to the Hokage. Well, it's nice both knowing and speaking to you Lady Tsunade. And please, do get that technique down so you can come visit. I can show you where a cherry blossom tree is located. And he spoke with a smile on his face before his body flickered towards his surrogate brother. Tsunade looked and examined the scroll, opened a scroll, only for a second small scroll, showing an overview of the Japan and a note attached to it. She read the note and another note, detailing where for the boy to go. If you cannot master the technique, then I'll give you a map to where our island is at, and to an extent Japan. It will be a long journey by your standards, but it's well worth it. While Japan itself is a beautiful country, Tsushima holds the title for most regarded as majestic. Hope to see you again, Lady Senju. Jin Sakai. I will Jin Sakai, I will. She thought with a smile on her face, with a slight blush, as she began reading the plan. With Ryuzo. About time was starting to get boring, thought Ryuzo as he finished off the last of the so-called elite root Anbu and took one last look at his area, seeing corpses of dead roots, limbs, arms and even heads lying around. Strongest village, my ass, these are supposed to be the most skilled. How pathetic. Ryuzo thought as he was walking through the gates, ignoring the stares of fear and anticipation, hoping to not fall in the hands of the demon in human form. Before he was about to leave, he was stopped by what is now newly dubbed Konoha 11. Great, what do I get for my desire for a good fight? A bunch of kids. He said, amused, almost burst out laughing at the mere audacity of claiming this group would be the strongest. Naturally, this now made the group sheath a bit of anger, some better kept cool than others, well, except a certain pink-haired banshee with a pink half-dress, a black-haired boy who has a hairstyle of a duck butt, and a platinum blonde with a purple outfit, both stepping towards him, think they will end this weakling from this world, not paying mind to the previous carnage in the background. Hey idiot, whoever you are, you might as well give up, you're clearly no match for elite to begin with, let alone the loyal Uchiha like myself. Boasted Sasuke with a smirk of arrogance, thinking that those who died behind that Ronin were clearly inferior to the likes of himself. Which prompted Sakura to speak. Yeah, you bum, I mean look at you, you look like a homeless person, you probably act like one, so no surprise that you would try something against our great village. I bet Sasuke-kun would easily beat you without his Sharingan. Yelled Sakura with admiration. Oh, how high they have fallen. Ino, on the other hand, had better composure towards the situation. Ever since the retrieval mission, she realized that she has not only been slacking on her ninja career, but also realized she had been competing for the wrong boy, just some petty competition against her now former best friend turned traitor lover. After that, she vowed to herself inwardly that she would make up for it by apologizing to that blonde that, in her eyes and maybe the rest of the members of Konoha 11, took his ninja career seriously by completing the mission, but also show that no matter what, that Naruto Uzumaki never goes back on his word. She put those thoughts aside and spoke. As much as I would love for you to leave, you're coming with us to the Hokage tower for questioning, best for you to comply, or things she and the rest of her group got into a fighting stance will get ugly. Before Ryuzo could show these kids what a warrior truly is, Jin appeared out of nowhere next to Ryuzo, tapping his shoulder. Having fun yet, brother? He asked, amused with a grin while Ryuzo looked annoyed. Come on. He whined, just 5 more minutes. At least let me pick one to fight. He pleaded, almost sounding like a child wanting another rice cake for dessert. Jin, well, wanting to leave, also has a fighting itch to scratch. Fine, no more than 5, I don't want to hear you complaining about not enough challenge, until we get back, he stated, let's see who's worthy of fighting is the question. He turned towards the group and scanned for potential opponents, until he stared at a certain green spandex wearing shinobi. You, bushy eyebrows. Jin pointed at Rock Lee, while Rock Lee looked shocked, was soon followed by excitement. I wish to fight you, well, my brother may go hard on that arrogant gaki, and believe me, I would too if he hadn't shown that much arrogance, which the group agreed, since they did get sick of the all the last Uchiha this and strongest Uchiha, that and the next Adachi that. Jin continued. I can also sense you are indeed strong, stronger than people give you credit for, and while you are indeed lack any form of ninjutsu, you make it up into jutsu, so please let us have a duel. The ghost of Tsushima respectfully asked. This caused Rock Lee to spoke, although exciting. I may be a shinobi, but I will never back away from a challenge. I accept your request in the honor of youth. He exclaimed, moving his left hand back while his right hand opened and pointed forward. The rest of Konoha 11 except Sasuke and Sakura fighting Ryuzo were dumbfounded until Kiba yelled out. Hey, out of all of us, you pick him. Why not us? We are clan heirs, yet you look down on us. If anything we should. He was interrupted when an immense pressure came crashing down. Jin once again released a portion of killer intent towards the group of children, all the while Ryuzo was grinning while effortlessly dodged and redirected attacks with little difficulty. Jin was also examining the group and finally spoke. Why I look down on you clan heirs? Well, it's simple, let's start off with you. He pointed at Kiba, the Inyazuka heir, hallucinating a bit as he saw ghosts of past men ready to end his life. You are hot-headed and like that Uchiha, arrogant and one-sided, which could lead to being provoked, making yourself wide open for hidden attacks, and lured into a trap that you would likely not live to tell about. He turned towards the Hyuga prodigy. You claim to have fate on your side, yet paid the price for claiming that fate decrees that you are weak, therefore you will forever be weak, not to mention your lack of fighting style, thinking that training with one style will always succeed. He turned to Shikamaru Choji. Do I really need to explain, or are you too good? He asked sarcastically. Nope. They both replied smartly, while Choji continued eating chips, while the lazy Nara complained what a drag. Good. Jin stated while grinning, then turned to Shino. What about you, bug boy? He asked, his aura causing the bugs to be intimidated. It's logical that I must respond no, since you and I both know my flaws when it comes to using insects, can be a sense of self-over-reliance on bugs will be a benefactor for my potential downfall. Shino reply logically but with a hint of fear. Jin simply nodded and turned and stared at the Hinata. While I sense small amounts of confidence, you need to draw it out sooner than later. Shinobi are not supposed to hesitate under any circumstances. The world, especially the shinobi world, is a place of pain and anguish. Only the brave and the bold can handle the outskirts, and only the strong-willed can not only hold themselves together, but keep pushing to their ambitions. He stated towards Hinata. Jin also pointed out that she too needs to expand her overall knowledge on both Tai and ninjutsu. He now turned towards Tenten and Ino, but began with Tenten. I can see the fire in your eyes that you indeed wish to become strong, but focusing your time on weapons isn't always the best. While I was observing a certain someone, I was also observing some matches, and while you did do your best, you still fall short, and do you know why? Asked Jin while the weapons mistress looked down in shame, already knowing the answer, so she responded. Because I rely on just weapons, Shinobi-sama. Making myself very predictable, and if facing foes who are familiar to me, can come up with ingenious plans to disable me from my storage scrolls. She answered shakily, however was relieved when she heard his words. Correct, however I would advise you and the Hyuga girl to train under your idol. Who was it you yelled out again, a lady by the name of Tsunade Senju? He asked casually, which made Tenten and Hinata's eyes widen, but lit fire, thinking of one of the most greatest opportunities a kunoichi could ask for. You really mean it? Both Hinata and Tenten asked shakily, both nervous to take up such an opportunity in their life. Jin simply chuckled and put his hands on each of their shoulders and smiled. You both have the potential to reach great heights, just keep moving forward, Jin told them, but continue. Tell her that the first shinobi sent you too, she'll understand. Besides, I'm pretty sure a certain blonde knucklehead would love to see you two grow as actual shinobi. He assured them, making their confidence themselves rise and ready to take up the challenge. He then focused his attention to the last three, two of them still getting manhandled like little children, while Ino was just staring at how far the mighty Uchiha has fallen. Blondie, she heard, turning her head to see Jin narrowing his eyes to her. While I sense some form of turmoil and having doubts on your so-called crush, you shouldn't have focused all your time to begin with, especially since you have a legacy to uphold when it comes to being clan heiress. If you were a clan heiress in my land, you would have been beaten, berated, and made you as an example to not be when it comes to becoming a shinobi. Jin stopped, letting his words hit Ino before continuing. You completely focused on yourself based on looks alone. Remember how I mentioned to the panda head that I have been observing some matches during the Chunin exams? He questioned, to which she nodded, but looked down in shame, knowing what's about to be said. Well, that was a disappointment. He yelled, leaking a small bout of killer intent, which made almost everyone stood still but continued, his anger becoming evident. Never in my years of shinobi training have I seen such pathetic excuse of ninja in my life. That fight itself with the pink banshee made me question if this really is the strongest village in these 5 great nations. If this village actually produced shinobi like yourself, then I'm certain if a group of small villages gathered and created their own land, they would have won and taken over this weak, arrogant, and disgraceful land without casualties. Jin stated, which broke Ino's outlook indefinitely. She knew everything that the demon mask shinobi was indeed true. Focus on getting stronger, instead of chasing a baka who can't even acknowledge your existence just because of his petty pursuits of power. Focus on getting stronger for yourself, prove to him that you don't need to get somebody's attention. Jin somewhat encouraged Ino to become strong-willed. If you can't do it for either yourself or me, at least do it for Naruto. Jin lastly stated, to which Ino gave a shocked yet questioned look, to which Jin clarified. Well, that knucklehead had to endure this pathetic village and their hate. Did he complain? No. Did he complain about not getting special treatment? No. Did you notice all of the pain that Naruto has endured all his life? No. And do you know why, Blondie? Asked Jin, to which Ino shook her head. 2 reasons. 1, because he always has a smile on his face, hoping things could be different than the past, hoping he could one day make more friends than before, hoping to ask his friends to hang out, hoping to find that one somebody to spend the rest of his life with happy. The ghost said. Ino, not being able to respond, nodded, since it was indeed true. The second reason is very simple. You were chasing the crush you believed you wanted and ignored the one you deserved. Such a misconception on your part. Blondie. Jin finished his tirade to the blonde, noticing she has cheeks that resembles that of apples. However, did not go unnoticed by a certain Hyuga heiress, and a weapons girl looked concerned, but took note of that since they were aware of how she treated Naruto back then. This will definitely be enjoying after all. Hey, both thought while snickering to themselves. Ryuzo decided it was time and hit both pressure points around their body, allowing them to be frozen in place, and stood next to Jin with a grin on his face. Jin sighed but responded. "Go fight Bruce Lee over there," he pointed towards Rock Lee. "As much as I would love to test his abilities, I want to see if I can get through them," he said, already knowing he results to such time-wasting beratings to jutsu only. "If he gives you a challenge, I'll give him a gift," finished Jin with a slight smile behind his ghost mask. Ryuzo took a moment before realizing what he was saying, to which made his eyes widen before narrowing towards Jin. "Are you sure he's worthy of it, Jin?" asked Ryuzo with skepticism in his voice. Jin replied with confidence. "Yes, you and I both know he reminds me of our sensei," he stated with a smile. Both remembered the harsh yet rewarding training sessions, with involved not only bettering themselves, but also building relations with the people and aiding them with renovations on both digging and farm work. "Very well, but who said I'm going easy on him?" Ryuzo asked amused as he walked towards Rock Lee. "Well, my brother over there is giving a scolding to those excuses. It just leaves me and you, Lee. Please give me what those two bakas could not, a fight," he said, and Ryuzo pointed his left arm up while his right arm resting but ready on his left arm muscle, revealing what looks like a perfect form of Wing Chun. "You're not the only one who has been working on Taijutsu." As he charged at Lee when Lee did the same, both clashed, both fists connected to each other, causing a shockwave throughout the gates. They soon got locked into a full-out fight, each trying to gain ground, actively attempting to predict one another. Ryuzo smirked, despite holding back to enjoy such moments. This disabled kid can keep up and come to par with himself. Rock Lee found his opportunity and swiped his Ryuzo's legs, following that up with a side flip kick to his gut. The attack hit, pushing Ryuzo back and landing on the ground. Using his momentum, Ryuzo used his free arm to redirect himself towards Lee, kicking him straight in the face in the process. Both onlookers are staring in awe. Being shown just display of skill and precision only battle-hardened ninja were qualifying of doing. Ryuzo, who was still enjoying such a fight since his battle with the three-tailed Jinchuriki, knew it was time. "It's time." Bushy brows, he said as he charged his final attack. "One final move, make it count," as he thrust his fist, having a coated wide aura surrounding his arm. Lee agreed and went up and opened 4 gates, hoping this was enough, thinking to use the 5th gate at last minute in case things go bad. He thrusted himself forward and rocketed himself, hoping to hit him with leg rocketing towards his opponent. "Mugen no Ken Limitless Fist," yelled Ryuzo. "Ha no Hurricane Leaf Hurricane," yelled Rock Lee. Both attacks collided, both shook the ground, almost causing an earthquake by the mere pressure, causing a great deal of smoke so dense that it makes foggy days seem clear. The smoke faded away and revealed to be a grand sight. Ryuzo, while very bruised up, was still standing, holding an unconscious Lee towards Jin, who was done berating the last two bakas. Was standing there with what appears to be a glowing Yellowstone on his right hand. Ryuzo spoke. "He's worthy, Jin, give him Kami's blessing," Ryuzo stated with a hint of pride. Jin nodded and hovered the stone above Lee's forehead. Nothing happened for a moment until the stone started glowing, sparkles coming from the stone, what looks to be healing the unconscious boy, but also healing internally. The process finished and Lee began opening his eyes, only to see the stone glowing bright gold. Until Ryuzo put him down and spoke. "Congratulations, Gaki, you proved yourself worthy of something after all," he spoke amused and with a grin. "Best to go check on your local medic, you'll be in for a great surprise," he said and then turned to Jin. "Let's go, we got something to deal with back home," he lazily said while Jin smiled, knowing his friend's antics to just go home already and watch cherry blossoms all way. "Alright, the sooner we go home, the sooner I get to enjoy some squid sushi with a side of boar for dinner," Jin stated calmly but inwardly yelled out finally in his head, although his thoughts were interrupted by an arrogant brat. "Hey, aren't you gonna let us go?" exclaimed Sasuke as he was tied to a pole with reinforced rope while Sakura was trying to untie herself while Ino was holding in her laughter. While Jin was compassed, earning a raised eyebrow. "Nah, you guys got it, you're shinobi after all, aren't you?" he replied smugly before leaving this village, leaving a angry Uchiha and pink-haired Banshee to their business. Oh, how fun today was for both men. The rooftops. While events were currently unfolded, 3 females were watching, not just any individuals. 2 of course had purple hair and had jobs working for the higher-ups, however one wore a trench coat cover her revealing figure, while the other had Anbu gear with an Injito strapped behind her, intrigued by both men, while one who has black wild hair with red eyes and a dress that resembles that of a mummy, although has a light red sleeved shirt under it. These of course were Kurenai Yuhi, Anko Mitarashi, and Ikka Yazuki. "I must say, that Ryuzo fellow sure has my attention, especially his way of fighting," replied Anko, while licking her lips, although lightly being punched by Yugao. "Hands off Anko, he's mine, I am very much intrigued of his sword style, those moves especially though," she stated although inwardly shivered in delight when thinking about doing such perfect technique. HMPH. Anko simply pouted then looked to Kurenai. "What about you, Kurenai, what about that ghost fellow, think you'll be interested in him?" Anko asked with a slutty grin on her face while Kurenai blushed a bit. He may seem formal and respectful, but he is no Asuma. Maybe if they either fight to show a display of strength and add a nice date, then maybe. But for now, I'm fine, she stated, though her mind was picking between either men. For now? So you haven't decided yet? Replied Anko with a sexy look that just looks like malicious intent. Goodbye, that's all the Jingetsu mistress said before getting berated with questions that involved bedtime sparring with the opposite gender, while the other two to fight over who gets the Ronin warrior. Meanwhile, on another set of rooftops. The trio were not the only stalkers in the area. Two females, both with brown hair that almost resembles that of the color of chocolate. However, the difference being is that one was at adulthood, her hair looking spiked out, almost resembles of a sea urchin, wearing a tight honing outfit showing her mature figure. While the second figure was basically a younger version of the other, however, had her hair tied on a ponytail, wearing a chunin vest with a tank top holding in her assets in place, and wearing shorts that goes to her knees. These were of course Tsume and Hana in Yuzuka. My, how both men have their fair share of traits. Good looks, deadly aura, good with kids, and deadly skills. Who knew men like them still exist? Wondered Tsume while licking her lips but also blushing, sensing the imposing killer intent and aura to which made her shiver to delight. Hey, well, I like the scarecrow. I would certainly like to get to know that first shinobi also. You're right, those type of men still do exist, however they did not originate from any nation we are accustomed to. You smell it, don't you, mom? Asked Hana, since she was interested to which these newcomers came from. We'll settle this another time, however I'll let you choose first. Besides, I still am in my prime, so choose wisely, Tsume said, teasing her daughter, to which she blushed a bit. I'll consider, but we must report to Hokage-sama. Told Hana as they both shoo-shined away. But Jin and Ryuzo. So Ryuzo, did you notice you have a fan club already? Jin asked while he and Ryuzo were jumping from tree to tree. Yes Jin, I know. I could say the same to you though. Although surprisingly that they didn't come up to me and ask for our names, I would have gladly used my charm, casually responded Ryuzo, with a smirk, knowing this isn't his first time in this situation, and it won't be the last. Just saying. The two purple heads are interested, felt like they were gonna have a standoff, Jin said, but chuckled at the end. Ryuzo smiled. Reminds me of old times, although if they're open to it, but maybe or maybe not, I'm willing to share, said. Best to ask them next time, he smirked and decided to jab him, although next time wear better clothing than that scarecrow outfit of yours, Jin said, amused. Ryuzo frowned. Hey, my outfit shows some of my favorable traits, besides might as well have the female onlookers looking at me with hunger in their eyes. Besides, the sooner we get back the sooner I get home and buy myself some exquisite clothing. Here's hoping I find better options from my favorite merchant. Hell, maybe take a little detour in the Kaisake brewery, Ryuzo said, which made Jin chuckled. Kaisake is the pride of Tsushima, just don't go overboard. I remember the owner chased you out with a broom and a tanto in her hands, heard you almost saw the Shinigami himself. He burst out laughing, remembering the chase that took place. Laugh it off while you're at it, but we're here. I see Yuna and Kenji there, along with Yumoto. Let's get in the boat and change. I don't want Argaki to ask too many questions until we arrive to Tsushima. He stated. True to his word, they arrived at a harbor where they both see a female with a dark red shirt with brown baggy pants and black combat boots. On the boat's deck, we see a short-looking man with a dark blue merchant's outfit with a black straw hat sweeping up the floors. Finally, we see sitting in the harbor to be a monk with traditional kimono with a light brown robe, wearing a prayer bead necklace around his neck, who's practicing and testing the chords of his shamisen. Yuna, what happened while we were away? Jin asked, a bit concerned. Yuna turned and made an innocent face. What do you mean, Jin? Asked Yuna casually. Jin simply pointed at Kenji sweeping the deck with his head down. Simple, Kenji was being a baka. Replied Yuna. This prompted Kenji to speak. Hey, it was a good idea at the time until you kinda blowed it for me. Kenji said sheepishly. Alright, explain, asked Jin, knowing what antics his merchant friend can get himself into. That idiot decided to make some money by trying to sell his stash of best of town sake to onlookers for a quick coin. Naturally, I thought it was a good thing considering we need money for supplies. Then? Jin asked, since he knew nothing came out good, especially when it's Kenji of all people. Yuna continued. Then I found out that my stash of sake went missing, so I decided to ask Kenji for a drink just for giggles, since I see a lot of people actually buying them, until I found out he used my stash to use as free samples, so he can sell off his sake. Yuna finished as both Jin and Ryuzo burst out laughing, as Yamato chuckling under his breath since he too find that entertaining, remembering that beating Kenji received as punishment. Hey, I said I was going to pay you back once we get back to Izamo Bay, I promised, especially when I made a great amount of profit, he pleaded as he gestured towards a very large bag of ryu. Yeah, and used my sake to get that amount. Shouted Yuna. I don't know if I should be proud or angry at you. I should be proud that my sake is actually that valuable in these parts, but on the other hand that was still my sake, you idiot. she said as she bonked Kenji in the head, growing a limp in the process. Then she grabbed his ear and yelled out. How many times must I tell you, stay away from my sake? Her voice echoed through the nations. Meanwhile in Konoha. I felt a shift in the force of sake, as if a new power has emerged. A certain busty blonde thought as she took another swig of her favorite bottle of rice wine. Lady Tsunade, don't you think it isn't a good time to be drinking while at work? Asked Shizune. No. Tsunade exclaimed, any time is always a good time to be drinking. She stated with pride as she lifted her bottle in the process. Back with the gang. Before Yuna could land another punch to the idiot swindler, Ryuzo stepped in and offered her a gourd, Yuna with a questionable look, and asked what's this? Just drink Yuna, he simply stated, to which Yuna did. Moments later she felt refreshed and better from her tirade a while ago. It may not be from my stash, but it's better than Kenji's ache. She said before letting out a smile. Thank you Ryuzo, where did you get this from, asked Yuna. Simple, I got it from an idiot. He stated happily with a grin. To which the group laughed at it while Kenji laughed nervously. Alright Kenji, you're lucky he saved your ass. You're off the hook, but you still owe me. Yuna said, narrowing her eyes. Of course Yuna, of course, he stated, nearly stuttering, knowing it's unwise to anger a woman with a demon-like attitude. That aside, Jin interrupted, to which caught the attention of everyone present. Naruto will be on his way here, Yamato, please kindly greet him with your friend of yours, Jin politely asked his monk friend. With pleasure, I too wish for the boy to learn under Norio's teachings, Enjo would enjoy having him around, however the question remains, which area will this Naruto be living at? Asked Yamato, since he is curious to which province will be residing at. Naruto will be staying in the Toyotama region, living in the Sakai estate to oversee his training, that, and to have an excuse to get out of paperwork so he can watch over his surrogate nephew. Jin replied as he too wished to train the boy on his ways of shinobi arts, betting also that prominent heads of prestigious clans throughout Japan will too offer him special training. That is if Naruto himself passes through the trials in order to receive such training. Very well, once we set sail, I'll inform Lord Shimura of this development via messenger bird. I'll also inform Norio and Enjo stay in Kushi Temple, have the guardian monk be there as well, I want a rematch with that demon warrior. Informed Ryuzo as we went inside the ship. I'll be taking a nap, he turned and looked at Kenji, don't you dare pull any DETARAME bullshit, got it Gaki? He questioned as he gave the look of committing heinous acts. Kenji, well sweating bullets, quickly answered, of course Ryuzo-san, I promise that I, Kenji of Azamo, will stay out of trouble. As he quickly went to his room, ensuring to lock his door. Jin sighed and turned to Yuna, one of the things I like about you Yuna, determined and strong. He said with a warm smile. Yuna, while blushing, spoke harshly. Don't get all soft on me Baka, until Naruto gets here, I'll be in a bad mood. She huffed while trying not to smile, knowing she'll be thirsty of her favorite formula of sake for the duration of the trip until she felt arms wrapped around her, and Jin spoke. I'll share my batch of sake during the trip, sounds fair. I'll also ask Taka for a favor if that's alright with you, Jin asked as Yuna returned the embrace and smiled. Apology accepted Jin, I just can't wait to see him. As she buried her face in his chest, causing him to blush a bit. He reminds me so much of me and Taka after we left from our mother, we both know how it feels to be homeless and alone, but to this extent is unacceptable. She said, almost crying at the statement, thinking about how she and Taka ran away from their own mother due to her own drunken beatings, to the point of leaving out then and there. Only to be used by slave traders to their own personal gain, to work like obedient dogs, yet getting abused like rabid animals, only to escape if it wasn't for her friend Ichi, who lost her arm yet successfully escaped. I know, especially what he carries inside of Naruto, like William and Hyde, he will change Japan for the better. Jin assured her, feeling a nod but also asked. So he has one of those Biju, which one I ask? Asked Yuna, a bit sluggish. He holds the 9 tails, it's gonna definitely be a reunion. Jin said, letting out a yawn also. So the guardian spirit returns, are we also focusing on the other one next? Yuna barely asked as she was slowly drifting into the dream world. Yes, but not today. Said Jin as he picked her up and two decided to sleep with his unspoken lover together. Best that leaves little Almi, Yamato said to himself, tuning his instrument. Perhaps you can keep me company Tenkai, he said as a spirit appeared beside him, what looks to be a blue whale, and what looks to have a short miniature castle with its own tower, leaning towards his spirit tenant. He continued to practice his instrument, waiting for his potential pupil. But Naruto, Northern Rice Country. Naruto was wandering through the rice country, heading north to find safe passage to make his way towards the snow country via boat, hoping to find himself a harbor. While he did not want to get his precious people in danger by any means, he still needed to keep a low profile. He was stopped by a golden bird holding a scroll with the leaf insignia. For me? Naruto asked, to which the bird nodded and snuggled onto Naruto's right shoulder, resting on his neck, making him chuckle at such cute antics. But read the scroll. To Naruto. I have found a land where you will not have to worry about your turmoil affecting you. I was informed by a special someone that they are willing to raise you, but train you like you always wanted. I too was skeptical at first, but when he showed me proof about their homeland, I was instantly on board. Please accept it and do what you couldn't do and what I couldn't done for you since birth. Have a life. Even though we are not related, I'm sorry my son, and I hope you can forgive this drunken hag for her unfortunate deeds for not raising you. Just follow the golden bird and all will be revealed. And don't worry, they already know you're a Jinchuriki. That's one reason they want you in their home. From Tsunade Senju, your godmother. Naruto finished reading with tears in his eyes. Finally, a land where they willingly wanting them to live, to raise them as one of their own despite his burden. He looked at the bird. So I guess you'll be my guide, little friend. He asked, to which the bird chirped in a yes. Alright, lead the way. He exclaimed, to which the bird flew, prompting Naruto to follow. I guess things are looking up after all, thought Naruto as he continued to follow his new golden friend. Hours later. Naruto, albeit tired, finally reached the destination, to what looks to be a medium-sized wooden boat with traditional Japanese design with an apartment-like deck. He sees a flag with a crest that he is unfamiliar with, 2 arrows pointed upwards, almost looking like mountains while it has a circle, the Sakai symbol. Wow, talk about a nice ship, right Kurama? Asked Naruto through his mind. Indeed kid, however that crest, it looks familiar, I don't know why, but it just feels like I know it, but at the same time don't, I'll let you know what I come up with. Replied Kurama as after the banishment, Naruto got close to the 9-tailed fox, almost considering the fox as a brother, the only person always being with him, rather forcefully or not. Their thoughts were put on hold when they see what appears to be a monk playing an instrument, enjoying the view of the ocean. Hello, mister, I don't suppose you know why I'm here, are you? Asked Naruto, with a hint of caution. He even thought he was barely taught anything in the academy. He knew looks can be very deceiving, referring to the wave mission as one case. The monk turned and smiled at the little blonde. Yes I do child, although it might take a while. My friends inside are kinda at it again, right now they're cooling off from another personal matter. Yamato said. Gesturing him to come close. Come, sit with me, and don't worry, well I know how to fight, I only fight for peace. He gestured him to some and sit in the front end of the ship, to which they did, ignoring the ruckus inside. So young on, tell me about yourself, asked the monk. May I first ask who you are? You don't look like you're from around these parts, it's just you seem foreign than most, questioned asked Naruto with eager curiosity. The monk simply smiled as this boy's behavior. First off little one, my name is Yamato, I'm a musician, telling the tales from the last generation, how those people affected the very lives we live in today. How about a tale where beasts that are as great as the spirits that brought them? He asked, to which got the attention the Kyabi container. Really? I would actually love to hear it, can you please tell me? Please. Naruto pleaded, while Kurama, annoyed with his jailer's attitude, was intrigued to this monk. To see other mortals' interpretation to how the world was born. Yamato smiled and began to tell the tale. Centuries ago, where the first generation of humans lived in peace, not bothering about spreading war and destruction to each other. However, little did they know that they were being watched. There exists a being, a man whose looks can be mistaken for a yokai, his eyes, purple as violets yet powerful as the great earthquake, his horns being a part of his head, almost resembled of a oni, unaware of most. He had a third red eye in the middle of his forehead, almost resembled that of a Akuinai Michitami, evil eye. This was the man known as Hagoromo Otsutsuki. The first Jinchuriki. He stood from afar, watching the mortals grow accustomed to life, determining whether or not they were worthy of needing chakra to better both themselves and the world around them. However, that all changed when the fateful day arrived. Unaware to most, the tailed beast that resides inside of the Sannin, thinking that he is no threat, did the unthinkable. He escaped. Ravaged the world as it was his personal playground. Had it not been for his 2 sons named Ashura and Indra, the beast could have not only ruled the world with him as the very center, but threatened the world of the kami. After the tragic event, the first decided to split the power of the beast into 9 spirits, while also bestowing humanity with the power of chakra at the cost of his own life, so they can guide the mortals to begin and evolve anew. However, like the world disaster, everything changed as 9 of our spirits disappeared, never to be seen again, only its memories, manifested into lesser guardians, roamed the land of gold. Now, the land of war. Enraged by their guardians being captured and taken to be used as such mindless slaves, the people of Japan who prayed to such divine beings, who gave offerings to shrines as gifts for respected spirits, and warriors who protect the people to allow their generations to flourish, vowed to themselves that the troublesome fool who dared take away beings who are as old as the world itself will pay in not only blood, but in their very life. That man now known as Madara Uchiha. End of tale. As the tale ended, Naruto and Kurama were at a loss of words, while Naruto was moved and happy that such a story was well kept. Kurama was shocked. How can a human know something that dating back to the creation of chakra and finding out of such ancient information, what's the most part of this tale? But it was indeed true. How, asked Kurama. What was that? Asked Naruto, confused at the fox's attitude. I said how? Demanded the nine-tailed fox. Yamato, while sensing the inner turmoil of a certain fox, simply talked first. You can come out now, Kurama Yamato said casually, to which shocked both Naruto and the Kyuubi altogether. How do you? Before Naruto could continue, a smoke explosion appeared on his shoulder, revealing to be a chibi version of the fox himself, to which shocked him even more. How did you even? That was all he could say before he was smacked in the cheek by all the tales courtesy of the fox. I'll explain later. Turned towards Yumoto. Alright monk, how the hell do you know of my birth? Demanded Kurama, because there should be no written evidence that old to survive such disasters, let alone unscathed. Simple nine tails, observe. Oh Tenkai, would you kindly show yourself? He asked. A moment later, the whale appeared once again, locking eyes with his kin. I don't believe it, they are still around, asked Kurama, as he could not believe there were others such as himself. The whale named Tenkai simply smiled and nodded his head before disappearing into thin air, leaving excited Naruto and a very mind-blowing Biju in their thoughts. So, does that mean there are others such as myself, Yamato-san? Asked Naruto with at the verge of crying, knowing he wasn't alone dealing with such a burden. Of course child, however unlike here in these nations, out homeland worships these ancient guardians, whoever possesses their desired spirit has the spirit himself until he knows it is time to pass it on. And right now, it's not time yet to pass it on to my successor. Yamato explained and turned to Kurama. Also yes, nine tails, they are still around. Nekomata has been having an itch with regaining back his better half. Also you and your other kin aren't the only ones that are supernatural beings that protect sacred lands that have endured for generations. Spoke the musician. The guardian ape who protects the hot spring forests from bandit Yoki, the snow serpent that protects the icelands of Ashina Prefecture. And the monks that resides in the high mountains of Mount Fuji. There you will find a monk who wields an ajinata and wears a oni mask. But know this, he may look human, but you will soon come to understand that he is not to be provoked into a fight. While he is skilled, he is also compassionate and willing to teach the ways to you youngsters. Yamato summarized, chuckling, remembering the intense morning sessions monks have to go through. Especially the painful ones. His training won't be the only one you'll be receiving. A voice stated with a hint of pride. Just then Ryuzo and Jin appeared behind the blonde, startling the boy in the process. Naruto looked and saw one that looks like a Ronin, while the other looks like he walked through the rice fields. Hello child, my name is Ryuzo, and this is my brother in arms Jin. We have come to take you from these parts to train you in the ways of both the samurai and in his shinobi arts. Stated Ryuzo with determination on his tone. Well, my name is Naruto Uzumaki, believe it. He said with his trademark grin. However, I would like to ask a question, Ryuzo-san, said Naruto. Anything, said Ryuzo, still with his determined tone. Who do you look like, a scarecrow? Did you sewed it yourself? There was silence for a brief moment, only the waves could be heard crashing the boat. Ryuzo, face deflated, walking back to his room, muttered, stupid clothes, stupid opinions, stupid fashion sense. Jin and Yamato burst out laughing, not being able to hold back any longer due to the out-of-nowhere insult, to which Naruto joined in the laughing fiasco. Jin recovered. Aki, I like you already. He said as he ruffled his hair, causing him to grin at the process. Excuse me sir, well I don't mind this at all, but why are you guys treating me like if I was family to you guys? Shouldn't you guys hate me for what I have inside of me? Naruto asked curiously, since this was indeed odd for him. 2 reasons, 1. Because we do not see anything to hate, you're just a boy, regardless to what you have. We treat you like family because we were taught to always treat those with respect. Also we had some survivors from the Uzumaki clan reach our land after their 3rd shinobi war, explained Jin, to which catches Naruto's curiosity. That's very thoughtful of you guys, I appreciate it. Wait a minute, there are more Uzumakas. I thought it was just me. He exclaimed, questioned Naruto. Relax Naruto, no need to be loud, but yes, survivors indeed live and reside in my home island of Tsushima, which brings me to my next reason. He stopped, kneeling to Naruto's eye level, placing his hands on Naruto's shoulders and continued. We were supposed to raise you once you became of age, but because of the wars that went on, the disasters that were brewing thanks to powers that were never meant to be disturbed, we had no choice but to put you on hold. We did not wanted you to be used as a weapon by not only those who resides in Konoha, but to our enemies. He continued, with tears on his eyes. Thanks to allies from different upbringings, we were not only able to stop the great evils that could have threatened the world itself, but also end the long war that plagued our homeland. Once we had finished rebuilding, my uncle gave the order have his spies keep surveillance on you to ensure you were not harmed, however we were too late once we heard of your banishment, so shortly after you left. Explained the Sakai Hadabu the situation. While Ryuzo caused ruckus to your perfect village, I spoke with the Hokage to take you with me back to Tsushima, she agreed, ensuring I would keep you safe and trained to become the strongest warrior possible. Jin stopped and let the information take in for Naruto and continued. My uncle will be thrilled to see his surrogate nephew for the first time. I say that because my uncle and your father were like brothers. Like me and my scarecrow friend that you just insulted. Jin stated and wiped his tears from his face and did the same with Naruto. Knowing he cannot coup with the information he just received, Jin gave Naruto a warm embrace, while Naruto, a bit shocked, returned in with great force, sobbing uncontrollably. Well, I want you to come with me to have a family that was robbed from you. It is ultimately your decision, Naruto, so how about it, OTMTO little brother, would you like to come with us? Jin questioned his now new little brother. Naruto was at a loss of words. What people to be labeled as a nobody, a child who people claim to be not worth the dirt of their shoes, dealt with enough abuse, enough pain, and enough hardship to make even the most ruthless of people show sympathy towards the boy, is not only given an opportunity to not only change his life, but to also be trained by those who in his eyes surpassed most due to their explanations of dealing with dangerous forces and having the compassion to befriend kindred spirits such as himself. The fact that a friend of his deceased father wants to raise him is something that couldn't comprehend, especially when it's someone from far away. Alright mister, I accept, however I would like to ask for one condition, Jin-san. Naruto requested. Let me hear it, Jin said. I would like to return at a later date, not because I still have loyalty to my former village, but because I have a small group of people that I promised I protect. While everyone hated me during my life, there were some I considered close friends, please ANI big brother. Naruto pleaded with his puppy dog-eyed jutsu. Jin contemplated on his request, sure he could ensure he was properly and fully trained to his maximum potential, and to ensure he can endure as much pain as possible, despite living through his childhood, since his reports from his spies were indeed correct, he did not want to leave him for himself, sure he could handle it alone most likely, but he has already made enough errors in his judgment. Naturally, like Ryuzo, reminded Naruto of himself, strong, compassionate and brave, something that most people should be. He broke from his thoughts when he finally answered. Alright I accept, however I too would ask for a condition. Jin countered, to which Naruto got curious. Go ahead Nai-san, said Naruto. I would like to bring some very important people who will also be your masters, depending if you pass their trials to receive their kind of special training. I will not lie, the training and their way of tests will be rough once we get back, they are meant to test your will, your spirit, and your body. They are meant to break you and find out if you will endure and adapt, or lost and fail. Also, if you indeed pass, they will not only view you as a close comrade, maybe even close to family if that ever is possible, but they will teach you things that not even the elemental nations can compare to us alone, let alone an entire nation. So how about it, Uzumaki Naruto, do you accept my request? Finished Jin. Naruto was thinking about this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, training in both shinobi and samurai arts, learning the ways of the elements, endure to ensure he would be strong, one would think it would be wise to decline, considering one who quits are easy to take the coward's way out. However, Naruto is known to never be one. Even during his childhood, he endured a lot that most would consider to be suicide, he pushed through the glares, the insulted, every beating and form of abuse. Uzumaki Naruto, endured all that. He thought about that and realized to himself that he was no coward. I have endured the pain, I have endured the beatdowns from both kids and adults my age, I have suffered through enough abuse to last a lifetime, I accept your request, but brother, and I promise that I will never stop until I not only complete, but master any and everything you or anyone who is willing to teach me. And I, Naruto Uzumaki, never gives up, believe it. He vowed and exclaimed, having his fist raised, ready to take up any challenge that the kami gives him. Jin was happy that he accepted, knowing he will need protection for when he will indeed return to the elemental nations, since he knows that Konoha won't be the only one gunning for him. Thank you I promise you will not regret it. He shouted inside the deck. Kenji. Jin yelled. Kenji ran to the top deck, thinking the boat was attacked, or worse, a mob who wanted their refunds. Yes Lord Sakai. We're not under attack are we? Asked Kenji warily. No Kenji, time to set sail, we're going home. Have Ryuzo assist you with the sails, I'll be showing our new guest to Yuna. Once we finish, I'll let Yuna know to sail the ship, we'll take turns until we reach Azamo Bay, no drinking for you until we get back, I don't want another accident to happen, ordered Jin as he gestured to Naruto to follow him. Of course Lord Sakai, I shall personally ensure the sails are perfectly placed, Kenji vowed as he got to work. This is your Captain Kenji of Azamo speaking. Letting everyone on board that the long travel to Tsushima will commence soon, so please have everything with you because we will not come back. Exclaimed Kenji, to which Naruto asked. How long will the trip last? Naruto asked. 5 weeks, depending on the waves and storms, said Jin, but continued. Don't worry, we'll use this time to get you up to speed on the basics. And any techniques we have. Said Jin with a smile. Moments later they began to set sail, going to whatever new land Naruto was about to venture to. Weeks later. Naruto was standing in the front end of the deck, enjoying the view of the ocean. While the fog was indeed dense, it was not all the way to the point of blindly going to any direction. He was still, wondering how life in this new island will go for him. Wondering if these shinobi will even teach him well, unlike his one-eyed idiot of a sensei. Either this is a fast boat to travel in or time is going by quick. Thought the blondie, but his thoughts were on hold. We're almost there, the fog should be lifting soon. Said a voice behind the little blonde. He turned and saw Yuna with a small smile, not knowing she startled him out of his thought. You alright? You're not seasick, are you? Asked Yuna with a hint of worry. No, I'm fine, Yuna-san, it's just I'm a bit worried, my last two sensei were both perverts. One was more focused on training his prized student, and the other, while did train me to some extent, still focused on girls and writing about his pervy books. Never even got to sign a summoning contract with the Toads. Said Naruto sadly, as well did get close to his pervy sensei and trained on his now signature jutsu, it was the only one that he ever learned. Summoning contracts. Those contracts that you sign in blood that allow you to call animal companions to help you in either important tasks or help you in battle. She questioned, to which Naruto sadly nodded. Don't worry Gaki, once we reach to Tsushima, you'll have the opportunity to earn the summoning contract. However, you have to pass their tests. We shall see what contract suits you better, little Gaki. She said as she ruffled his hair, to which he chuckled. Thank you, Yuna-san. I appreciate the reassurance. If you ask me, you're basically like my aunt, since Jin calls me his aunt. He said as he grinned, to which Yuna laughed it off. I guess I am, but don't worry Gaki. Unlike your village, Tsushima will not shun or abuse you. Besides, you having a beast inside you pales in comparison to what our land been through, Yuna stated, but froze a bit. Knowing if it wasn't for her, Jin and to an extent Tsushima would have been not only in ruins, but also pillaged by yokai who have no qualms towards human life. However, those days are now over, but the memories still reside in her head. Yuna, are you okay? You look frightened a bit, asked a curious Naruto. To which Yuna snapped out of her thoughts. I'm fine, just having some flashbacks, that's all, assured Yuna. To which Naruto asked, were they bad? To which Yuna gave questioning look. What were bad? The flashbacks, he asked as he looked down a bit. There were moments in my life that whenever I tried to sleep, I sometimes have nightmares of the beatings I endured. Even now, whenever I pass by simple areas, I still get glimpses of me getting the usual glares, remarks and the beatings. It hurts me knowing that I have to deal with that, but at the same time it made stronger to be Hokage, but he said, now thinking where things will lead him to. But what, Naruto? Asked Yuna. But now that I'm banished from the place that I promised myself to become Hokage, I don't know what I will do. Yes, I want to get respected, but I still feel like I want to make a name for myself, to show them that I can endure anything anyone throws me. Naruto, look at me, demanded Yuna. To which he did. She kneeled to eye contact, hands on his shoulders and a somewhat motherly face. Naruto, I have seen suffering since I was young. I and my brother have been abused because our mother's drinking habits. We have endured getting sold and put on slavery at a young age. We would have been kept there had it not been for my friend at the slavery camp. Because of her, we all escaped, but at the cost of her arm. But you on the other hand knows and understands the definition, she said as she began tearing up a bit. I have seen the most hardened people break from simple things. I have seen monsters that would make the fox inside you look like a small fry. She said as the fox grumbled, I will be the judge of that woman, as the fox went back to his slumber, to which Yuna continued. But if those men have been in your predicament, they would have chosen death in a heartbeat, yet you endured. You endured because it made you strong and because you have a dream to gain attention. That shows you are determined by default. You show strength that nobody else in your village has shown in a long time. I don't care if those people on that pathetic monument accomplish something, they have never endured a painful childhood. If they had, then they would most likely give up at one point. Yuna stated with tears running down her cheeks. Know this, Naruto, and know it well. You know pain, you know suffering, yet you still stand in defiance to those who inflicted it. Ensure those that made you suffer that they have a debt to pay, either with their lives or break their spirits one way or another. Well, I may not want to point your future, but promise me that you will show those that hated you that you will one day become the strongest person this world has ever known. Promise me, Naruto, can you do that for me? Asked Yuna as she could only think of a few who could probably survive such a circumstance, but that would be a very very low minority. Naruto cried as he felt somebody actually caring for him as if she was family to him and responded. I promise Abasan, I promise I will become the strongest person the world has ever known, believe it. He exclaimed as he hugged his now auntie. She returned at full force despite being labeled as a auntie. She will treat this boy like if he was the son she never had. Or at least until Jin decides it's time to give Naruto a little brother through some bedtime sparring. Their embrace was interrupted when Kenji yelled at the top of his lung. Land, I see land, Azamo Bay dead ahead, I can finally sell my goodies. He exclaimed with joy in his voice. And true to his word, the fog dispersed, revealing to be feudal city-like village. Boats ranging from merchants to military ships passing by, some carrying supplies like oak wood, meats, materials meant to build structures, eager to make a profit and trade the finest wares any shopkeeper has in store. Beautiful, Naruto said awestruck. Well, he did experience going beautiful places such as the spring country with their advancements making it all the better, this almost pales in comparison to such a degree. Koyuki would probably be a bit jealous with having a rival country. He thought as maybe this new country and spring could be very much like best friends. His thoughts were interrupted when Yuna spoke. I know Naruto, it is indeed beautiful. Even after living here for so long, I still can't help but admire the sight as such beauty from the view alone. Yuna said, no matter how many times you go to the same place, that same place always take your breath away. Finally, I can finally catch up with my training with Master Kajiro, no doubt he would bombard me with questions regarding this new land. Said Ryuzo as he came out of his cabin room. I can tell. Jin said as he too along with Yamato came out of their rooms. Also don't worry Ryuzo, I'll send the report to Lord Shimura. Jin also added, giving Ryuzo a happy face and a sigh of relief. Naruto, you're coming with, I'm talking you with me to Castle Kaneda, please be polite and don't do anything that you would do on a daily basis, please. Asked Jin as he knows that this boy will become a menace to society sooner rather than later. Don't worry Nai-san, I'll be fine. He grinned, not bothering on making devious pranks, but rather actually make some friends. Also Naruto, Jin said as he put his hand on Naruto's right shoulder and warmly smiled to him. Welcome to Tsushima. End of Chapter 1. Chapter 2. A revelation in plain sight. Nearing the end of Naruto's trip. Konohagakure. Tsunade was sitting in her desk, doing what every cage of their respected hidden village hates doing the most. Paperwork. However, her paperwork over the last 2 days have been scarcer than the information gathered about a Red Cloud organization on when they will mobilize in due time. The reason to such less paperwork is simple, well, 2 reasons. 1. Before her son's banishment, he gave her godmother a tip on how to deal with paperwork. Solution. Shadow clones. Well, he did not know the properties about the memories of the clones going back to its user until his last-minute week for his match with Niji Hyuga. He decided to share this info with her in order to bear with paperwork. This made her happy but also sad, knowing she's using a technique that Adachi taught her, not being able to pay him back in kindness that he should have gotten in the first place, which brings to the second reason. 2. She told the entire village about Naruto Uzumaki's heritage. Most people were shocked, claiming that the 5th Hokage was casted by a genjutsu by the demon Brad himself to spite us. That was until she spread copies of the boy's birth certificate and a picture of him as a baby along with his parents before the Kyuubi attack. Had that photo not been taken by one of the nurses shortly before she died, the village would not have believed it, however that was not the only thing that she had copied. She also copied the properties of the seal that was placed in order to keep the Biju, or in her case, guardian spirit, and stated that not only that those properties of the seal were not only reliable and very complex, the seal was legitimate and signed by Minato Namikaze himself, ensuring that the seal was intact and reliable. This put the village in a state of shame and complete guilt, emotions that flooded the village and its people until their deaths. They now know that they were not hurting the Kyuubi that attacked and murdered their loved ones. The Kyuubi was most likely laughing at them for thinking they could do such a thing to a boy, claiming if we hurt the child, we can hurt the demon itself. Not only that, but even if they did kill the Naruto, then they would have released the beast they think they have been hurting in the first place. While most of the village was in their own state of depression and shame, only a handful of people still hold a grudge towards the blonde Jinchuriki. This caused the village to have a stained reputation. That Konoha, one of the 5 great shinobi villages, treated their own Jinchuriki worse than anything and anywhere in the elemental nations. This also gave villages who have Jinchurikis themselves a wake-up call to treat them with more respect than your average renowned shinobi, like any other human should have. Deciding that it's best to befriend a person who has the power to harness the Biju than to banish or abuse them like a plague and come bite them in the ass in the long run. Gaara held true to his word by ensuring that everyone will know of such actions. Even those that benefited by the Naruto's actions broke all ties altogether. claiming that those who disregard their ninja like that are worse than the demons themselves. Wave, Spring, Taki, Suna, and to an extent Iron countries cut all ties with the cursed village. Any and all trade agreements have been null and void, allowing Sunakager to gain a large client base, receiving more missions, thus prompted to double training of all genin squads. However, this was not the end of it. The fire daimyo himself demanded an explanation to why he was not informed about not only the boy's heritage, but also his influence on past events which allowed trade with the allied nations before and after the exams. The civilian and elder council attempted to come up with an excuse, trying not only to stroke his ego, but to try to gain something out of this. Danzo tried using the Sharingan to control him, gaining some form of political power to overrule this decision. This did not go unnoticed by the samurai guarding the daimyo, since these samurai were trained to detect any and all genjutsus and have dealt with cage-level shinobi, despite being their samurai status, which made the daimyo furious at such an attempt punishable by death. However, the daimyo had other plans for such treachery. Deciding to cut his arm off and his eye. Have his entire body sealed and suck every piece of information out of the disabled man. Tsunade was curious to why such a punishment. The daimyo simply told her what he spoke. Minato was a good friend of mine, it's only right that I have done this. Besides, I'm done being some kind of puppet to this power-hungry idiot. This was a change for the better since it revealed that it was Danzo that was held responsible for the Uchiha massacre, collaborating with Orochimaru with both the Snake Sannin's experiments, his plans to crush Konoha, multiple kid captures to abduct and mold into root agents, multiple atrocities commits just by ordering them to be done. All because it was for the good of Konoha. Yet it also revealed that the reason he ordered the Uchiha clan to be killed was because they planned to make a coup, attempted to cause a civil war, to gain power that they deemed was stolen from them to begin with. While yes, they indeed serve as police at that time, they still believed they were almighty and godly because of a Dojutsu. Naturally, Danzo attempted to use his Sharingan eyes and arm to escape, but he was instantly dealt with by the fire daimyo samurai by cutting off his arm and slicing his eye with speed that could be compared to possibly the Yadaime, eliminating his attempted by striking gashes. They along with the culprits were now being held in the fire capital prison, doing nothing knowing that they will never do anything for the rest of his lives. The fire daimyo ordered the Uchiha information to go public so this village will know that they have supported a clan of traitors from the very beginning. This caused the elder council to beg for this order to be looked past aside, explaining that they have invested too much on the boy just to be looked down on as a traitor. The fire daimyo simply asked one question. What about this Naruto Uzumaki, does he deserve to be looked on as a demon despite bringing back that Uchiha? This caused the council to not speak, knowing they have no logical or illogical excuse to shoot back with. Even if they did, it was unwise to disrespect the boy, let alone in front of the daimyo's face. So the only thing they can do is not speak. The feudal lord not only punished Danzo's treachery, but also ended the positions of the elder and civilian council, replacing them with candidates loyal to both the fire daimyo and the Hokage. Not being driven by hate towards the Uzumaki, even though the shopkeepers now know about his heritage, feeling all the pain they have caused since they were once academy students with Minato and Kushina back in the day. Even the academy teachers vowed it themselves, aside from Iruka, that they will teach everyone equally, even though that is too late at this point, since academy participants have gradually become an all-time low. Tsunade cut off her thoughts as she finished her paperwork, thinking how gloomy the village it is without her godson, hoping that he is safe to wherever new land he is living at the time. But also hoping he can become strong enough to face any challenge despite everything against him in life. Moments passed and her personal advisors arrived, both males named Azir and Koji. Hokage-sama, they both greeted their Hokage. It is time to make the information regarding the Uchiha known to the public, and while I enjoyed seeing the look of their faces when it comes to Naruto's heritage, I would love to take a recording of their beloved clan's past transgressions, said Koji with a hint of happiness, since he and Azir were one of a few people who still hold a grudge towards the elite Uchiha, who claim to do as they wished just because of a Dojutsu. I agree, well you and I have not been stationed in this village, I can agree that I do not like a clan stealing jutsus and techniques that are made through hard work and creativity. Stated Azir with distance since he was once a former shinobi who had his hard-earned jutsu stolen by a certain one-eyed copycat. Tsunade was enjoying their company, why didn't she receive them as their advisors sooner? She of course kept her professional image by speaking. One moment Azir, just taking a swig of my favorite bottle of fire sake. She said as she poured a shot glass of sake and was about to drink, until Koji spoke. Well, I don't mind a higher up drinking, one must keep the appearance of being professional, even around advisors, Hokage-sama. He said with a chuckle but continued. Besides, I do recommend trying my bottle made in Kai Sake Brewery back in my homeland, rice wine that rewards your tastabids with flavors of fruits, peaches and grapes, to name a few. he said as he pulled his light blue bottle with a kanji for Kai, to which got Tsunade drooling a bit. The sooner we get this over with, the sooner you can go out drinking. Koji stated, which she reluctantly agreed. Very well, besides that, how's the village faring so far? She asked, knowing things will probably stay the same if things don't change soon. Azir spoke first. Well, besides the whole village going into a state of depression, there have been rumors rather or not the Kyubi festival will occur, since the entire village know of Naruto heritage. They now say that if they even do celebrate it, it would not only tarnish the Uzumaki who was the heir of Konoha, but also tarnish the hero that prevented more chaos. Stated Azir. He never did enjoy celebrations which led to beating up an innocent child, regardless of what his deeds costed others. Koji spoke second. Alliance-wise, I'm trying to re-establish trade agreements with our former countries to find a compromise to allow us to continue commerce. He stated, having his hands tied by trying. Wave is going well, considering that every nation knows about Naruto's royal upbringing. Despite long arguments about how will Naruto's well-being in Konoha act, they are really caring for him. He stated, explaining his new position and respect for the boy. Atsuna and Snow are kinda a different story. They refuse to discuss any alliance under one condition that must be addressed in person. What's most surprising is that Taki, Kumo, and most surprisingly Iwa, are also willing to open up trade agreements just to go with this one condition that also must be addressed in person. Stated Koji with some concern. While he expected Taki to open up with his negotiating skills, he never expected to deal with two former enemy nations. This piqued Tsunade's attention. Why would both former enemy nations want or get from Konoha besides bloodlines? Unless before she could receive an answer, a ninja slammed the door open. Okage-sama, the cages from the 4 shinobi villages along with the spring daimyo have arrived and are asking for a meeting this instant. Said the shinobi who looked like he ran from the Shinigami himself. Tsunade sighed, knowing her drinking will have to wait after or at all, the meeting. Great, the sooner we finish this meeting, the sooner we get to print out these papers to ensure this Uchiha shit is accurate, and the sooner I get to drink your sake, she said as she prepared the meeting to Kami knows what. With Naruto. Welcome to Tsushima, said a very calm and excited Jin, seeing Naruto just stare at the beautiful landscape with awe and a hint of excitement for exploring such lands. As the group disembarked, Kenji spoke, as much as I would like to join you guys, I would like to try to sell my goods from the rice country to here, see if they hold any value, said Kenji with a large smile, hoping his merchandise from the new country will be worth something of high value, clothing of both upper class and shinobi, ninja equipment such as kunai, both fuma and small shurikens, and of course rice, lots of rice. Farmers are going to really love this one, thought Kenji with glee in his eyes, holding his belongings and heading to the shops. All this was going on, Ryuzo whistled to his horse. Well, time to head back to Tsutsu Prefecture. No doubt Kojiro and Musashi might start another duel. He said as he rode west. Yumoto also left, telling Jin that he must assist Junshin in the Golden Temple to ensure there haven't been any damage to the structures of the temple and any harm of the people due to bandits running amok, but lately have been scarce at best. As much as I would love to join you, I got to head back to Ishikawa-sensei to keep up with my archery training. I don't want Tomo to catch up on me, Yuna said as she left, until Jin responded quickly. You know, Saika Magoichi always says matchlook firearms are better than bows. Jin says with a bit of innocence. To which Yuna caught on. Careful Jin, last time they both had that argument, I could hear the shots to Omi village all the way from Hiyashi Springs. Kami knows they have a long-standing rivalry. Said Yuna, since comparing such ranged weapons, especially masters of their art, can lead to some interesting things in Tsushima. Just saying Yuna, both bows and matchlooks rifles have their advantages. And disadvantages. Yuna butted in and left by horse. What was that all about? Asked Naruto as he was just curious to what was going on. Nothing that you would be concerned of, Naruto. Come, let's go, our escort is waiting. Jin spoke as they both walked towards the outer gate leading to the entrance. True to his word, there was a small group of samurai. One was Ana Musha, female warrior, with traditional samurai armor made of leather with blue and green color scheme, along with a bow attached to her back via handle holding it in place. The second samurai wore a much more metallic but leather version of a signature yoroi with the same color scheme, but wore a helmet with a flower insignia on top of the helmet. Not only that, but it also had a white animal's hide behind the yoroi, showing that it's a status that he was not one to be taken lightly. Lady Misako, Lord Adachi, it is good to see you again, said Jin as he bowed respectfully, to which they returned it, along with a warm embrace. It's good to see you again, Jin, your uncles were worried things would go wrong, said Misako with worry but happiness that he is alright. Indeed, Lord Shimura almost had a breakdown had Ryuzo not received your letter via Eagle, he almost demanded a duel with me, that was a lifesaver. Said Lord Adachi as he did not want to deal with killing his lord by self-defense. I'm fine, both of you please meet my new family. He said, gesturing his now adopted little brother to step forward a bit shyly. Naruto slowly looked at both samurai. His name is Uzumaki Naruto. I told him that his clan was here. He's also the Jinchuriki of one the guardian spirits. Jin said. Heyo samurai-san, it is nice to meet you. Naruto said politely but barely since he was still tuned to his energetic nature. First of all, Misako spoke. I can see your mission is a success, also it's a pleasure to meet you Uzumaki-san. She said but continued second, you really need to get rid of that horrendous outfit of yours. Where did you get this outfit, from the garbage? Especially orange. I may not be a shinobi, but even I wouldn't need that much in a battlefield. She stated as Naruto looked down a bit but answered. To answer your first question Misako-san, I indeed found it in the trash, it was the only thing I was about to wear during my lifetime. He said, to which all three occupants were flabbergasted and shocked, feeling bad at the statement, but Naruto continued. But orange is my favorite color, and you can't tell me otherwise. He exclaimed with his fist raised and a grin to back it up. To which Haranobu responded. You really are the child of Kushina and Minato, aren't you? He questioned Naruto as he ruffled his hair. It's good for you to finally be here. My children would be thrilled to have another friend Naruto. Misako said, ruffling Naruto's hair a bit. As on cue, two samurai with blue and green matching sets of their katana and wakizashi, with both same matching sayas. However, one samurai is taller than the other one. Allow me to introduce myself Naruto, my name is Haranobu Adachi, descendant of the legendary Yoshinobu Adachi, one of the greatest warriors known in Tsushima. And this is my wife Misako Adachi, she may be a female, but she grew up not only fighting with the boys, but to match their skills, so don't get on her bad side he said, to which he and Jin chuckled nervously as they felt Misako's killer intent leaking while smiling innocently. And don't you ever forget it Harukan she said sweetly with a deadly tone. Of course Misako, I'll never forget it he said nervously. Reminds me of Shikamaru and his family. How weird he thought. Haranobu rolled his eyes at her wife's attitude but continued anyways, meet my two sons. Shigesato and Yasunari. He said as they both approached to the duo and bowed respectfully as Shigesato spoke. Greetings Naruto-san, Lord Sakai, hope your trip was worth the travel he said as Jin waved him off. Enough with the formalities Shigesato, same goes for you too, all of you. You are all as much as my family as my uncles. He said nonchalantly, not wanting to be bothered with formalities from his own family. You're always like this Jin-san, it's the whole Tsushima is both my home and family and I will die before I let anyone or anything happen that will cause such actions to trigger destruction to our home and its people. You do know we have both been training too you know, every samurai is strong in their own right baka. The Adachi younger sibling said a bit of a rebellious tone as he continued to speak. Besides you're not alone, especially after all of the survivors came and seek refuge, not only bringing innovations, but also advancements. Especially that clan from the whirlpools. Yasunari said, folding his arms as everyone aside from Naruto nodding. Thanks to them, we have been able to put their weight seals to good use, that and innovative our armor, and create new ideas to our sword styles based off our elements. He said excited as all samurai followed this status quo in order to not only get stronger, but also to test themselves to their very limits. Shigesato chuckled and patted his little brother in the shoulder. Take it easy little brother, remember why Jin is known as the ghost of Tsushima. Or did you forget the last time we fought against him? He said as he did challenge Jin to a few occasions but lose, yet determined to win one day. I'll be sure to push my limits Shigesato-san. Yasunari said to which they both chuckled. Anyways, who else is coming to train my new apprentice? I know for a fact that me and my masters will not be the only ones training Naruto here. Jin asked to which both brothers looked at each other and nodded eagerly. Yasunari spoke first before his elder brother. Let's go already and then I'll tell you. He said as they all mount on their horses, Naruto riding behind Jin. Hold on Nai-san. He said as they all galloped towards the Adachi estate for a quick lunch. Go ahead Yasunari. He said to which he eagerly responded. Well thanks to your uncle making the mission go public, all of Japan know of Naruto's status, if one could call it that, the shogun himself sent an envoy to help educate and train him. I believe you meet them already. Asked Yasunari to which Jin caught on. They're sending William Adams and Hyde, well William the First have no qualms with, Hyde is another issue, it's just the fact he can't speak. He stated as worked with him during the Yokai invasion of Tsushima, had it not been for Hyde and his allies, the invasion of Yokai would have led to a mass slaughter. Indeed, however, thanks to William's research on the spirit stones and thanks to Hakutaku's research, and again thanks to Hyde lending his guardian spirit to begin with, he's able to enable him to speak, so that's out of the issue. However, he's also bringing both Hattori Hanzo and Honda Tadakatsu to train him in Smjutsu and Ninjutsu, however there is another envoy, an unexpected one. Who is it? Questioned Jin. Yasunari looked at his brother and Shigesato nodded hesitantly. He took a deep breath and spoke. The envoy is from the Ashina clan. The Adachi elder brother said. They immediately felt a surge of killer intent radiating the area. Both the Adachi siblings and their parents were ready to unsheath their blades. What did you say? He spoke with a malicious yet amused tone that says he wants to finish a loose end. The shogun informed your uncle that Clan Ashina will send an envoy to strengthen ties and allow trade with both parties, establishing an alliance agreed on both parties. Yasunari stated, his rebellious attitude subsided to a more professional approach. The shogun is also considering adding the Ashina region to be merged to Tsushima via spirit stones in order to prevent any hassle with moving materials and such, similar to what they did with Akuma Island, Shigesato said with collected calm. Before the ghost could speak, the Adachi elder brother cut him off once more. You remember your uncle and Lord Ashina are close friends shortly after Minato left, remember they too have a bond of both friendships and rivalry. Spoke Shigesato after being told of Clan Shimura's history with more prominent and experienced clans throughout the Land of Gold. Jin hesitated, know that it is indeed true. Ever since Tsushima has been reinstated as the first shinobi island, many shinobi clans from all over Japan had a rivalry with Tsushima Island. All those clans fought, attempted, but failed miserably to become the next prestigious clan that Tsushima has graced the Land of Gold. However, there were a few clans worthy of residing in Tsushima. The Saika clan led by Saika Magoichi, now an integrated second-in-command to Clan Sakai, providing hijutsu lessons to those willing to learn matchlook firearms, both small and two-handed guns. The Iga clan, who's considered to be the founders of the shinobi way and paved the way of shinobi teachings thanks to the efforts of Hattori Hanzo and his student Akatsu. The Hayabusa clan led by Joe Hayabusa, known by their skills in the Hayabusa shinobi arts, known and masters of any form of weaponry to date, and masters of dragon-style combat both on or off the battlefield, one example is Joe's sons. The Hayabusa twins, Ryu and Jiro Hayabusa, the twin prodigies of Tsushima. However, Tsushima's greatest and most powerful is not only a samurai clan, but also his uncle's ally at heart. The Ashina clan. The clan who has a reputation of its own, samurai and shinobi alike who specializes in their own arts, trained under animal-like guardians to better adapt and improve their technique in exchange to protect the sacred areas that those animal guardians reside at. The monks, some reside in Tsushima, have a very diverse yet deadly style when it comes to combat, one is even rumored to possess the centipede of immortality. However, none have ever reached such the reputation than two people. Both of which represent the pinnacle of their respective forms. Cultivated into mighty heights that only a few can achieve. The Master Samurai and the Nameless Shinobi. Genichiro Ashina and the Lone Wolf. Jin and Ryuzo's greatest rivals. While one would consider these two duos to have healthy rivalries due to Lord Shimura and Isen Ashina to have a close bond, these two are anything but close. Every time a duel is taken place, it is end in a stalemate, both bruised and beat, determined to win to the point of almost death. Ryuzo and Genichiro's duels always resulted that way, passing out due to hours of endurance just for that one duel. While Jin and Wolf never did duel, they did train, eager to break their records on how they do their training. Having to do full body meditations, keeping full balance while having weight seals making the process more difficult, getting to the other side of the island as fast and quickly, without causing a ruckus while having weights and gravity seals stacked against them. Both did and completed such feats, both ended in stalemates every time. Jin Sakai snap out of it. Exclaimed a harsh tone with killer intent. He snapped out of his thoughts like if he dodged an arrow last second, only to see his group and also forgetting that Naruto was hugging on the back of Jin the entire time. Sorry, just thinking about that duel to break the tie. Said Jin sheepishly. While Misako and Harinobu narrowed their eyes. If you're going to duel him, at least make sure to do it somewhere that isn't in public, if anything ask the Uzumaki clan to create a barrier or something. Said a stern Misako as she knew thanks to the new ways of this power-up as she call it increase the ways of how samurai and shinobi test their limits, still act like a bunch of children, claiming that they're the best. Excuse me, Ani. To which everyone turned to the blonde Jinchuriki. Well, I would like to listen to you guys talk about strong people, may I ask how the Uzumaki clan first arrived? Please. Pleaded Naruto with his puppy dog eyes jutsu. Aoi. Muttered Misako under her breath, remembering how her sons do the same just to play at the lighthouse outside of Komoda Beach. Very well, said Jin, to which they continued to gallop to their destination. Believe it or not, the Uzumaki clan came here by accident, Jin started, to which caught Naruto's interest. While Jin was beginning to explain the history about how the even occurred through stories, Harinobu merely recalled the even clear as day. After all, he was the one who spotted the ships along with his friend to begin with. Flashback. 34 years ago. Shimura Sato, the man who is destined to rule over Tsushima, was staring through the lens of a telescope with a man aiding him in patrolling the oceans. Said man was none other than Harinobu Adachi, wearing a set of fishing clothing, avoiding wearing armor in case if he were to drown in the depths that have not yet been discovered. Keep it steady Adachi-san, once we're done with reconnaissance we'll be back for lunch. Saito said to his longtime friend, to which Harinobu nodded. Indeed my friend, once we're done with this, I'm going to enjoy a nice meal of ribeye. The Adachi heir said, imagining the flavors he will partake soon. You and your foods Adachi. I just want some fresh squid. Said Saito. In the mind of the Adachi heir, he was glad that the settlers that arrived a few days ago, fully integrating themselves into Tsushima very smoothly. Establishing a territory in the Seigo prefecture in the Kajimata region to help each other and sharing both ideas and cultures, respecting the differences and complementing each other's way of life. More importantly to aid in the rebuilding of Tsushima for the better after the Yokai Wars. In the mind of the Shimura heir, he was glad that Tsushima was located in the southern ocean below Japan. Had Tsushima and Iki Island been located in the northern part of the ocean, then Toyotomi Hideyoshi would have more likely used both islands and their ports to establish a baseline for invasion operations of northern Asia. It was a miracle that they managed to use the spirit stones to move Tsushima and Iki to where they are at now to prevent possible invasions in their turf. Despite being slightly close to the capital prefectures of Aomori and Kyoto, both unifiers at the time were not bothered by a small island. Neither were they interested in naval warfare with a small island when they could rule over larger areas of land. Saito placed those thoughts on hold as he began examining the seas. He noticed 3 pillars slowly emerging from the mists, curiously got the better of him as examined closer with his scope. Harinobu, you're going to have to look at this. Saito said, knowing that his friend was one of no words, he gave the telescope to the hulking man. The Adachi heir grabbed the scope and looked to the direction that his friend was pointing at. 189 degrees southwest, you see that? Saito asked, to which Harinobu grunted in agreement but was wide-eyed at what he saw. 3 identical ships what were the size of an entire mountain were sailing towards the port of Komoda Beach should their current course doesn't deviate. However, one ship looked to be packed to the brim with ordnance. If the red barrels and cargo containers were of any indicator, it would be some form of battleship. Kuzo. The Adachi heir said as he wrote something down and placed it in the feet of the messenger hawk. Head to Castle Shimura, inform him to send everyone to Komoda Beach. Said Harinobu as the hawk nodded as flew with speed. Castle Kaneda. Akita Shimura stands atop of the balcony, examining the toll of damage that Tsushima endured during the Yokai crisis, seeing the aftermath of destruction that resulted in such events. He was glad that the rebuilding efforts were taking effect as he laments on his thoughts, the settlers using the knowledge of bending to aid in the constructions of numerous areas in the snowy land of the Kajimata frontiers. Something he grew slightly jealous of for starting in the Kikuchi borders, but it didn't hurt him since they need the most help in rebuilding. Probably his age catching up to him. He shook those thoughts aside as a messenger hawk arrived from the window, holding a scroll with an urgent seal to which Takeda opened it. 3 metal boats converging to Komoda Beach, possible attack. Imminent. 189 degrees southwest. Adachi Harinobu. Takeda's eyes narrowed as he looked in the direction, using large telescope and looked at the coordinates. True to the letter, he indeed saw the ships, astonishing the man, but put him in fear due to the size of those ships that could hold an army of giants. However, he kept his composure. He quickly wrote down letters to the clan heads, informing them of the imminent attack. Sending them to the assigned messenger hawks present. The Irikawa, Sakai, Nagao, and Kikuchi clan heads. Quickly. He said as the hawks flew to their intended locations. Takeda signed as he snapped his fingers, 2 samurai donning light samurai armor, both people looked to be barely at the age of 18. Enzo, informing the Shimura garrison of a possible attack in Komoda Beach. Koji, help me with my armor. Takeda said as both nodded. Time skip Komoda Beach. With quick haste, there was a sizable force taking positions of the beach hills, setting up cover for the impending arrival of the hulking ships. Lines of Ashigaru soldiers wielding matchlock firearms in a 3-line formation. Beside the first line would be a set of Nagao clan archers, donning a combination of yellow and white samurai lightweight samurai armor. Some earth benders were on standby, making and preparing to bend artificial cover for the ranged units. Provided should any signs of hostility become apparent. Mounted on horseback would be Takeda Shimura, donning a black and gold samurai armor set with leather pelts on the weak spots, providing some form of protection for any blunt force cuts and slices. Looking through a telescope examining the ships almost approaching the shores of Komoda. To think this could be a possible invasion force. Takeda said in annoyance, looking through the telescope and seeing a flag of a red spiral. It could be settlers Takeda-sama, if it's necessary, then I'll check it out. Harinobu said, perking an eyebrow from the current Jido of Tsushima. Very well, either way we have gunmen at the ready should things escalate. Takeda said, to which Harinobu nodded. They waited as saw the ship landing in the sandy beaches. "Hold fire," Takeda said as he was leading the matchlock groups. "Do not fire until I give the order," he said, to which the Ashigaru lines nodded along with the entire ranged formations. One of the giant ships landed while the other two were waiting for something on the beach. Its metal nose landed, letting out a horn from the captain's deck. Nobody dared moving as they maintained their current posture. "Adachi-sama, go and examine the boat," Takeda said as Harinobu nodded and rowed off to the beach. While the young Adachi heir was making his way down, he saw a door opening, revealing to be people with red hair and pale skin. Harinobu stopped and got off his horse and spoke towards the people. "Outsiders, send your finest warrior to face me," he said with an authoritative tone. The people grew wary, some back away due to not wanting to cause any trouble or harm. Some who were of warriors or had fighting experience stood in defense. Before anyone could speak, footsteps could be heard from the crowd as the people made a path for the person to pass. The man in question was a young man in his late teens. Said person had red hair tied in a spiked ponytail, light violet eyes and pale skin with a slight tan to it, having a balanced physique for strength and speed, a tattoo of a spiraling snake-like beast with blue scales and two horns resembling a dragon in a spiral position. His attire of choice was odd. He wore a samurai chest piece with the crest of a red spiral on the middle. For the lower half, he wore black shinobi pants with shinobi shoes. He was equipped with a black kanabo club with spikes on it holstered on his back. All the while he had two katanas sheathed in red and purple sayas, held in place by a wide obi sash. Harinobu's thoughts went to his attire. Was he a former member of the Imperial Army? Surely must be, since his armor looked to be that due the Ashina Royal Guard. However, he was gonna let nothing slip up. "I am Harinobu Adachi, descendant of the legendary Yoshinobu Adachi," he said, his hand placed on his hilt. The warriors were about to prepare, but a raised hand stopped them, the head leader approaching the Adachi warrior and bowed respectfully. "I am Menma Uzumaki, descendant of my forefather, Ashina Uzumaki." The red-haired warrior now named Menma spoke, Harinobu shocked that he showed respect in a manner that a samurai could do. He moved his hand away from his grip, not wanting to show any hostilities, he spoke. "I wish to know why is it that you are here?" asked Harinobu, his stance turned into that of a politician, receiving a nod from Menma as his men stood down. "We are refugees who came far and wide to escape our country, abandoning our home in order to escape a massive invasion. I apologize for causing such a massive response, but I didn't know how I would approach the situation, Adachi-san," spoke Menma, scratching his spiked ponytail head in remorse, gaining a nod from the Adachi warrior. "Refugees. And no offense, but you look very young to be a clanhead," spoke Harinobu. The young clanhead nodded in understanding. "Not by choice. My parents chose to stay behind and prepare for a last stand, Adachi-san. I'm simply doing what I can to aid my people to safety," said the Uzumaki clanhead, his people listening intently. "I'm sorry for your losses." Harinobu bowed slightly. "And I appreciate your cooperation in this grave misunderstanding," Harinobu said as he removed his hand away from his grip, causing the Uzumaki warriors to lessen their stances. "But as for arrangements, it's not for me to say. But I'll clear up the situation," the Adachi warrior added, grabbing a flare and firing a green light to indicate an all clear. Not long after he received multiple signals to acknowledge his response, seeing his Adachi clansmen standing down, their matchlock weapons lowered and stood at attention, marching their way down to the hills. Before Menma would relay orders, Harinobu began talking. "Don't worry, those are my men. They'll arrive shortly," he said, his eyes catching a few horsemen coming down the hill along with his men. "While I may not have the authority, we have our own refugees to worry about. Tell me, are you familiar with the bending countries?" asked Harinobu. Being informed about the benders, notably the wind, fire, and earth benders. Menma's eyes tensed, his hand balling into a fist. "How do you know about them?" asked Menma in slight apprehension, thinking that they pillaged their ally nations. Harinobu taking note of the fact. "Forgive me if I offend, those are the refugees that arrived not too long ago." "Who represents those refugees?" asked Menma, lessening, but maintained his posture. "2. Gyatso of the Air Nomads and Iroh of the Fire Nation," answered the Adachi warrior, having no reason to lie since he grew close to the benders, causing Menma to completely break down his combat stance. "Those are my father's allies. Back when I was young, my father told me stories about the four nations. They kept contact by letters, shared diverse stories about each other. A reason that we've been able to advance at a rapid pace as a nation," Menma explained, thanking the bending countries for providing resources in exchange for sealing masters and training courses. Before they could continue talking, Menma spotted 3 horses with 2 samurai with golden bull horns and a golden yellow and red color scheme samurai YOROI armor. Along with the Shimura siblings is one with white traditional samurai armor, with a clan insignia of a cross with even lines and pointed arrows on each end, only having one shoulder pad on his right arm. This was of course Tokiasa Irikawa, head of the Irikawa clan. They arrived and dismounted their horses. Not seeing the need to start a fight, Menma spoke. My apologies for causing a disturbance, samurai, but me and my people have been seeking refuge for a better home. Some are starting to get seasick and others are wounded due to bandit attacks via ship ambushes. I have people that require medical aid. He stated formally, to which Sato and Takeda followed suit. Sato spoke first. Well, this is unexpected. I welcome you to Tsushima. He bowed and turned to Tokiasa. Lord Yurikawa, would you kindly tell your clan to aid the people inside the ships? I let the other clans know of this development and have my men bring in medical herbs and assistance. Takeda ordered, wanting get theme refugees treated first. Hi Shimura Dono. Tokiasa said, letting out a whistle and gesturing his clansmen to pick up the pace, ready to relay orders. Sato, assist the seasick, have rations and food at the ready, inform Komoda town that they have new guests for the time, being ordered the current Shimura steward, as Sato nodded and rode on horseback. Lord Uzumaki, have your second in command to watch over your people. You and I must discuss the living arrangements to where your clan will be settled in. He stated, to which Menma nodded and was offered a horse, but he declined. I can run, Shimura-sama, this isn't my first. Said Menma with a hint of confidence, to which Sato smiled a bit. Very well, follow me to Castle Kaneda and try to keep up. He said as he galloped to his destination, to which Menma followed suit. 1 hour later. At Castle Kaneda. Takeda and Menma are sitting on the top floor of Castle Kaneda, discussing where the Uzumaki clan should be settled in which region, while three clan heads were witnessing the discussion come into play. Alright, so your brother-in-arms named Gyatso resides in Jugaku Prefecture, says that the cold landscapes provide for good practice to perfect his body control. Takeda stated as they both chuckled at that statement. Gyatso may have been a good monk, but he knows to push his limits. Menma added. Sato smiled and nodded. Indeed, Menma-san, well, I understand why, since he's more akin to the Buddhist monks led by Benkei. I did offer him a place in Kushi Temple, north of here. Uzumaki-sama, I offer the same to you. Offered Shimura. Menma contemplated on his decision and looked at the map. Sure, there were nice spots for his people to prosper, but he also need them to endure anything. So he looked at Sato's eyes and spoke. I have made my decision, Shimura-sama. The Uzumaki clan would like to be established in the Kin region. Well, as much as I would love to join my comrade, I must put my people first. Spoke Menma, to which Sato nodded. Wise choice, Uzumaki-sama, I understand you two have a bond of some sorts, know that we take care of our own and prosper together. Stated Lord Shimura as Menma nodded and smiled. While we may be shinobi, we too follow the same ideals. Family before anything else. And I will do what I must to protect my new home. Added Menma, but continued. I would also like to make some innovations to the Kin region. I've noticed while we were passing by small towns, they're slightly damaged. Menma stated. Hi. We felt with the crisis back then, lost many good men back during those times. Stated Takeda in a solemn tone. If you let me, I'll have my people aid in any and all projects ranging from town improvements to ways of further training. Same goes for farming. I have people who are well equipped and well trained to know their areas well. Do you accept, Shimura-sama? Offered Menma, taking his kindness and returning the favor. Takeda Shimura was surprised at the offer. Well, he did receive tutors from Gyatso's and Iroh's bending training, but to innovate into is basically advancing into the new world, new ways to live, new ways to go about things, and most importantly, new ways to train and ensure the samurai get stronger. He prayed that this Uzumaki clan head will keep true to his word and change Tsushima for the better. Accepted, Uzumaki-sama. He bowed to Menma and continued, while I am skeptical of your offer, I accept, especially by the look of your ship designs that they seem more advanced. Takeda stated, talking the invaluable training from non-bending warriors and amplifying it higher. I'll have my samurai bring in horse caravans ready to move your people and any and all belongings to the Kin sanctuary. There you shall see a cherry blossom tree that most people call it the sacred tree. The Shimura head stated, to which Menma bowed. Thank you, Shimura-sama, I promise that my clan will keep their word. Also, no disrespect, but I would like a drink of sake if you have any. Do you? The Redeed asked sheepishly, to which Lord Shimura laughed it off. It's alright, Menma-san, if anything I need a drink too. He gestured his guards to move forward and bowed respectfully. Koji, Tenzo, do bring some bottles of the finest batch of sake. Asked Lord Shimura. Hi Shimura-sama. The two samurai left and do their task. Sato, Tokiasa, Harinobu, it seems that a small celebration is in order. And I believe it's lunchtime. Said Shimura, and on cue, servants arrived with food ranging from sushi to miso soup, ramen to tempura, rows of teriyaki, and 6 big bowls of rice. And on cue. The two samurai brought 6 very large bottles of sake. Thank you for your service. As for your reward, sit with us, enjoy the feast for we are about to partake in order, grinning Takeda Shimura, causing Koji and Tenzo to drool just by looking at the food. Careful Shimura-sama. Said Menma, we Uzumakas are not only known for their large energy reserves, but our bellies too. Stated Menma with pride and a smirk on his face. Sato smirked back, we shall see. He said. Don't you think the other clan heads will be jealous, Lord Shimura? Said a drooling but concerned Tokiasa, to which he waved it off. Don't worry, old friend, once we announce the Uzumaki clan, this feast will be pale in comparison. Said Takeda as they raised his glass of sake. The toast. This will mark the day of Tsushima's grand future, to the golden age. He exclaimed as the rest followed suit. To the golden age. The clan heads and 2 samurai exclaimed and drank. Let the feast begin. The which they all sat down and clapped their hands together. Itadakimasu. They all said as they began to dig in. End of flashback. And that's the story of how the Uzumaki clan came here. And thanks to them, both my uncles mark that day to be the beginning of our golden age. Finished Jin, to which Naruto was happy and excited to see his clan he did not know of. At first, said Misako. It's lunch time and we're here. They reached the Adachi estate, small walls surrounded the estate, yet the estate is big enough to house an entire garrison. Many houses were built and renovated over the years. As they went inside the estate, Naruto could see samurai training, struggling to carry and lift boulders, some practicing with other weapons such as spears, heavy metal kanabos, and what Naruto could only assume is a larger version of a katana. As they kept walking, Naruto stopped something that catches his eyes. He spotted a group of 3 girls. All 3 had a figure that any girl would kill to have, and all 3 looked to be of Naruto's age. However, their outfits are different. One wore what looked to be pink mix of combat and circus outfit, obviously intended to fool somebody on the right moment. The second one wore a wrapping around her chest, hiding her impressive set, had a black and white striped sleeve on her right arm, same with her left, but was attached to her outfit with a greenish sash wrapped around her waist, with that was a red skirt that went down her heel, but had a line to which allowed her to move, thus showing off her slender legs. Naruto could only assume that she was practicing on becoming a dancer of some kind. The final one seemed to wear a red royal-like combat attire, wearing red leather-like armor on her chest. Her hair was put on a small hair bun, however having 2 veins hanging on both sides of her head. Wore baggy but form-fitting pants with pointed boots. Naruto stared for a moment, only to return his gaze forward, hoping nobody noticed his eyes looking at their direction. He ended up being wrong as Misako took note of the small gesture and inwardly smirked. Gin, she said, which caught his attention, I think it's time for Naruto to meet some new people. She said as she pointed at the trio, to which Jin grinned and almost let out a chuckle. Of course, Lady Misako, once I get them acquainted, I'll assist you in preparing the food. Told Jin as he grabbed Naruto's hand. Come Naruto, time to meet new friends. As Naruto nodded, albeit hesitant as they walked towards the trio, Naruto stood behind his due to embarrassment. Jin spoke to the trio. Kylie, Akuni, Azula. It's nice to see you guys in the Adachi estate. Jin said as he bowed, to which they returned. How is life in the Jugaku prefecture? Jin asked, to which Azula frowned but responded. Cold as usual, Lord Sakai. While I admit the region is best fit to train in order to maintain and master our firebending, I still say we could at least take a vacation. That's why we chose the Adachi estate, no disrespect Lord Adachi. Said Azula a bit sheepishly, but Lord Adachi laughed. It's alright Azula, sometimes I think of it as my vacation too. Rather I relax, enjoy the views of the vivid trees, and sometimes test my samurai and evaluate their strength. Stated Harinobu, chuckling a bit. Akuni spoke next. Added, I'm learning how to perfect my tea ceremony dances by Lady Hana. She says the lady must move like a butterfly while performing such graceful moves that, and mastering full body control to correct any flaws that come my way. Isn't that right, Tylee? She questioned to her pink friend, to which she nodded eagerly. Yeah. Not only that, but she also gives us lessons on hand-to-hand fighting styles like kendo, taekwondo, and judo. Hattori Hanzo sometimes visits us and teaches us his form of taijutsu. Even Goku is showing us his art of the turtle hermit style. Ty Lee grinned as Azula finished the statement. While we may have our differences, we do work together well. You know this better than anyone, Lord Sakai, since will always be known as they got together and formed a trio fighting stance and exclaimed with Azula's hand pointing up. Tsushima's angels. They said all together with pride and determination. Naruto giggled behind Jin's right leg, catching the attention of Akuni, who blushed a bit and finally addressed him. Lord Sakai, who is he? Akuni asked out of curiosity too, with Azula and Ty Lee looked at the boy and blushed a bit also, but Azula kept hers in control. The pink acrobat jumped in front of the blonde Jinchuriki, looking deep into his ocean blue eyes. I'll be blunt with you, Blondie, you're cute. said a grinning Ty Lee, to which Naruto blushed red. "Oh yeah, I forgot," said Jin as he moved his leg. "Ladies, this is my new little brother, his name is Uzumaki Naruto. We were on our way to Castle Kaneda to meet with Lord Shimura, but we decided that it can wait a few weeks," he said and gestured Naruto to introduce himself with his eager self. "Hello," he exclaimed. "It's a pleasure to meet each of you, I hope we can become great friends," he said with a grin, causing the trio to have a triple blush. Azula spoke next, coughing a bit in the process. "Well Naruto, it's certainly a nice change to meet you, I'll have to say, while I dislike the orange jumpsuit, I certainly like your whisker marks," she said and smirked afterwards and asked. "Is it alright if I may touch them?" she casually asked, to which shocked Naruto and blushed a bit but answered. I don't see the issue, go ahead," he said with a cautious tone. To which Azula did more than just touch, she caressed his whiskers and petted them a bit. Naruto unexpectedly purred, to which everyone heard. Jin covered his mouth to suppress the laughter, same with the Adachi siblings. "I'll be heading to help Lady Misako with her cooking," Jin said, walking away from the area inside the Adachi mansion. "At first you have my curiosity, but now," she slowly approached to his ear in a whispered tone. "You have my full attention," her tone becoming more soothing as she continued. "I am so going to enjoy this, and don't worry Naruto-kun, I'll be sure your torture will be well worth it," she finished whispering as she pecked him on the cheek, to which Naruto blushed but kept his cool, until. "Hey." Azula and Naruto turned to see Ty Lee and Akuni with a jealous faces. Azula simply turned and scoffed. "What? First come, first serve. Besides I did saw him first," she said smirking in triumph. To which they both responded at the same time. "We all saw him first, also it's our turn." They said at the same time but looked at one another. "No, it's my turn." They continued for a good moment while Azula was still caressing Naruto's whiskers. "This is the first time I give my feelings to anyone. And I'll ask you this once," Azula said, expecting an answer. "Do you accept them?" she asked in a slight cold tone, her eyes becoming more golden as she hardens her expression. Naruto, thinking quick, pecked the girl on the cheek, causing her to look shocked. "I do," he replied fearfully, covering his face to expect a punch or something painful. Instead he felt a tight embrace and him being slightly lifted up due to his small height. "Promise me," she said, her tone becoming softer. "Promise me that you won't abandon me." Her eyes become more open and look deep into the blue eyes. Naruto merely returned the affection, giving her a firm yet gentle hug. "I'll never go back on my word Azula. That is my promise," he said warmly, the firebender hugged tighter. "Alright, it seems to be that we both have to take our turn at the same time," they both said, to which they both said, pushing off Azula and took each side of Naruto's cheeks and started caressing them. While Naruto failed to kept his cool and purred. Both Ty Lee and Akuni giggled and continued and like Azula, pecked him in the cheek. Naruto almost blushed as much as a tomato, almost looking like a certain Hyuga heiress. "So this is how Hinata-chan feels whenever I'm around her," he thought, regretting not speaking to Hinata in the first place. Meanwhile in Konoha. Hinata and Shikamaru both sneezed unexpected. While Shikamaru was getting a usual beating for playing shogi instead of doing chores or training courtesy of Yoshino Nara herself, Hinata on the other hand, felt a shiver down her spine, sensing that more were interested on her special person. "I hope Naruto-kun doesn't forget us," she intent and thought as they both went to the hospital to begin their training with their new master, the Hokage herself. Back with Naruto. As Naruto was suffering through 3 times the cheek rubbing, he finally spoke. Ladies," he said, to which Ty Lee and Akuni stopped and looked at him. "Could you kindly stop? I think Lady Misako requires assistance," he said, attempting to breathe some air due to the tight grip of the girl's hugs. As before he could say anything, Misako busted through the shogi door like the bandit robbing a silk house. "First off, I have Jin and my sons to help me out with," speaking of which she turned to the samurai trio and glared at them with killer intent, so bad that the 3 girls tried hiding behind Naruto, holding him tight, not helping him any further. The samurai were no better, fighting the urge to not collapse at any moment. "We were just about to leave to assist you mother," Shijusato said as he knew very well to never upset a very angry mother, especially a samurai mother. "We're on our way mom," Yasunari said and quickly they all ran inside to the kitchen. "And you," she said as she looked at her husband. "You two let's go," she said sternly as the Adachi clan head ran like the Shinigami was after his soul. She then turned to Naruto and smiled. "Don't worry about me, I can handle myself, although I do appreciate manners. I'll have to ask my sister to help you with that. Nevertheless, thank you for your concern for me," she stated warmly as it was nice for somebody to care for somebody in case they require any assistance. "Oh, and Naruto, do take care of them, they are not only a handful, but you'll probably have to deal with more instances like this in the future." She smiled devilishly, to which the trio giggled and grinned at a surprised yet terrified Naruto. So Naruto-kun, can you play with us? They said the same time, to which Naruto blushed but came up with an idea. Page Bushin no Jutsu. He exclaimed and made the sign, to which smoke popped off and 3 Naruto clones appeared. To which the trio stood shocked that the boy they basically fallen in love by pure sight basically multiply. The Narutos simply waved and greeted and ran away to whatever area they could run away from the girls. Alright, apparently we have one to ourselves, after him. Exclaimed and excited yet authoritarian Azula as Ty Lee and Akuni didn't waste any time chasing one. Meanwhile the real Naruto was hiding on top of the maple trees enjoying the peace and seeing the yellow leaves fall off. Beautiful, said a calm Naruto. As he admired the new change of scenery. He admired the samurai practice their techniques of swordsmanship, the leaves gently dancing in the air through the wind, the mountains stood tall, enduring whatever new age comes to be. And the clear blue skies just says it all for him. So the Uzumaki clan took refuge in the Kin sanctuary on the sacred tree. He thought as he remembered at the day of the Forest of Death that his old team remembering he encountered the Odo Kunoichi from the Sound Genin trio. While they barely got to talk through anything about themselves, they did related to one another and became close friends, actually hung out during the 1-month period. Flashback 4 weeks before the final exam. Naruto and Kin were just walking around the village. Naruto offered Kin to give her a tour around the village and take her out to eat, in his words. The best food the gods have to offer. Kin giggled. Since this was her first time hanging out in her life, let alone with a boy. Very well, I accept. What was your name again? Asked a now questioned Kin. The name's Naruto Uzumaki and I'll become Hokage one day, believe it. He exclaimed with pride and determination in his voice. Again making Kin giggled and smiled warmly. Well, I hope you do, Naruto, also I think your ramen is getting cold. The Sound Kunoichi said and pointed at a no longer warm bowl of ramen. Nuo? He said in a dramatic tone as he attempted to slurp down his ramen to prevent it from getting colder any longer. 1 hour later in the streets of Konoha. As Naruto and Kin were walking, she noticed the villagers giving her glares, probably thinking she was because of a different village. She ignored them. However, she did not felt that they were directed at her. Instead, it was directed to her new friend. Not allowing him to dwell on them, she decided to make him pay attention to her. Better to start conversation sooner than later. So Naruto, why does your pink-haired teammate even consider herself to be a shinobi? Asked Kin, pretending to not know the answer. I believe you and I both already know, Kin, it's not surprising though, this has been going on since the formation of my team after all. Said Naruto as while he did not like Sakura chasing a boy who declines her date offers, she still tries anyway. I agree, a kunoichi should never be determined with feelings for a boy, let alone one who claims they're a true love, but really is a dunce. She said as she remembered the Uchiha and his attitude, she did not see why all these pathetic excuses of kunoichi even fallen for him in the first place. I agree, Kin, if anything you're a breath of fresh air. He said, to which shocked Kin but kept her composure. What do you mean by that, Naruto? Asked Kin, hoping this wasn't some kind of false sense of confidence. There's only a very small few who don't bow to Sasuke's every demand. And I'm glad that you're one of them. You're strong-willed, determined to be a great shinobi, confident, maybe a little too confident. He grinned sheepishly as she smirked, but Naruto continued, and believe it or not, you're beautiful, Kin-san. He finished, to which Kin was not only caught off guard but also flustered. Ever since her birth in Atogakure, all she knew was training, perfecting her techniques, and also understand that all shinobi in some shape or form are weapons at the end. To have a boy she met during the survival test call her beautiful warmed both her heart and her cheeks. This is the first time anyone has ever complimented me, thank you, Naruto-kun, said a now smiling Kin as she put her head on his shoulder. I have one more place I want to show you before this day ends, said Naruto. Lead the way, said Kin with a smile on her face, blushing a bit. Moments later at sunset top of the Hokage monument. Naruto was sitting, holding Kin in his arms while they both look at the sun setting down, enjoying the view from atop of the monument. Beautiful, said Kin, as while she never did have time to appreciate the simple things in life. I know, Kin-san. This is where I go whenever I feel down or bad because of the people hating me. I come here to not only clear my head, but also remember that there is also good in this world, that people can change and make the right decisions in their life. Said Naruto as he loosened the grip of hugging Kin, to which Kin noticed. What about me? I cut your teammate's hair, I attacked your team, and even hurt your friends. Questioned Kin as she just asked despite knowing all shinobi can't really be all good. Naruto simply turned her head as they both looked into their eyes. I think you are good, Kin-san, well we barely even know each other, a part of me wants to. Even though you hurt my friends, you are doing what you thought was best for your team, and I hope we can be friends too, so I too can protect those that I hold dear to my heart. Said Naruto warmly as he hugged Kin, to which she blushed. Never had she really had a friend besides Tagaya, Karen and Guren, her 3 and only friends. Now knowing that she now has somebody that she can call her friend, and maybe if she plays her cards right, she can be more than that. She not only returned the hug, but pecked him on the cheek, causing him to blush. If it makes you feel any better, you're my first friend outside of my village. Although I do dislike the pink-haired one. I hope you can change her to become better. She said as she understood that old habits of chasing after a girl can die very hard. She got up from her position and was about to leave, but spoke her final words. If we meet again, I hope we meet on better circumstances. Maybe we can go on another date. She said as she winked at Naruto. If this is what people call a date, then I'll gladly do it again. He said and smiled warmly. I'll see you at the finals, Kin-san. She said, to which she waved goodbye and left. I'll be seeing you again, Uzumaki Naruto. She thought, and she smiled as she made her way back to her team. End of flashback. Naruto was siding, laying on a tree branch, watching his clones entertaining his new friends who happened to be girls. I wonder how you're doing right now, Kin-san. As we slowly drifted to take a nap, only to wake up from a sudden yell. Dinner's ready. Yelled Lady Misako, which resulted in Naruto losing his balance and falling off the branch, only to caught himself. Humming Lady Misako. He said as he ran towards the Adachi manor. Oh, and girls, you can join along too, it's always nice to see my surrogate nieces. She exclaimed, to which Naruto's heart dropped. Uh-oh. He thought as he felt 3 pairs of eyes looking at him as he turned around and see the Tsushima angels grinning and waving at him. Come on, Naruto-kun, food's going to get cold if you keep staring at us. They teased and went inside the house. Leaving a dumbfounded Naruto. Things can't get any much better, thought Naruto as he followed suit and went inside and sat next to Jin. Meanwhile at the rice country. Northern port. 5 figures stood at the docks with a boat ready to make a journey. These 5 happen to be new Sound 4, however, one happens to be younger to even know of such shinobi training. After the deaths of 3 of the Sound 4. The sole survivor retreated and eventually fled from Itagakure, convincing her friends to join her in the process. So you're positive that this is where he was seen at? Asked a Sound Kunoichi with red lipstick, has fair skin, dark eyes and light blue hair which she keeps in a spiky ponytail with long strands of hair framing her face. Her outfit consists of a green dress with a long left sleeve and a short right one, a red turtleneck which has a white fluffy collar and brown gloves. Under the dress, she wears a one-piece red suit. For shoes, she wears calf-length brown sandal boots. Of course, I'm sure Gurren. After all, you did a last-minute checkup with the report of both your and my spy gave out to you. If anyone should be doubting who, it should be me doubting you. Said another Sound Kunoichi, but with fair skin, black eyes with very long black hair, almost reaching down to the ground, tied by a violet ribbon right near the end. She wore a forehead protector with a line crossing her village symbol, a pale green vest somewhat similar to a flak jacket, snake-patterned pants with a snake-patterned skirt over it, and a snake-patterned scarf around her neck. Look, I'm sure it's accurate. As much as I would like to serve Orochimaru, you and I both know what happens if we fail even the slightest. Especially to what happened to your and my teammates Kin. I don't want that to happen to you, Kimari. She sighed, knowing what she had to do in order to gain Orochimaru's favor. I don't want to kill him just to stay with that snake Sannin much longer. Kabuto may, but to hell with him, I'm not. She finished as she looked at the toddler that she vowed to take care of to make amends, being watched over to see a redeed and a dark-haired pinkette. One has crimson eyes, fair skin, and red hair, to which she wears in an unusual hairstyle. Her hair is short and spiky on the right side, while longer and straight on the left side. She wears brown narrow glasses, which have a serrated blade hidden in them, and her outfit consists of a lavender uniform that exposes her navel, short black shorts, and long black thigh-high stockings with black sandals. The other one had fair-skinned girl with a slender build and is the shortest member of the Sound 4. She had brown eyes that were accentuated by her eyelashes extending into the corners of her eyes and was usually sporting an impassive expression on her face. Having long, untamed dark pink hair that falls past her shoulders with long parted bangs framing either side of her face and one between her eyes. The attire was a black shirt under a tan tunic with elbow-length sleeves and bore the symbol of the Sound 4 on the hem, and black skin-tight shorts. She wore black arm warmers, traditional black shinobi sandals with calf-length leg warmers covered by bandages, and a purple rope-like belt tied in an inverted bow around her waist. To keep her wild hair out of the way. Gurren took notice at the pink-haired one talking to her now surrogate little son, and out of instinct, acting like a mother, spoke. Hey, if you dare swear in front of him, I will shove as my crystals inside of you until you look like a statue. She said as she slowly created an crystal blade on her arm, ready to commence the punishment, to which Taiya shivered and moved behind the redeed. Karen, help me, I don't want to be in a kebab just yet. Taiya yelled as Karen with her quick thinking defused the situation. Relax Gurren-san, we were just talking about what new lands we can explore. And I can assure you Taiya-san has not been swearing, not one bit. Isn't that right, Yuki-chan? said Karen, to which the light brown-haired boy grinned and nodded eagerly. To which Gurren dissolved her crystal blade. "You're lucky you got a witness, Pinkhead. Otherwise I would dice you up and feed you to the fishes," said Gurren, to which Taya nodded vigorously and fought the urge to swear. "Look, Bluehead, I already promised that I would stop swearing during the trip. I already have to deal with abandoning Orochimaru and that curse mark thanks to Karen's expert Fuinjutsu, which I gladly appreciate, thank you very much," said Taya, to which Karen grinned in appreciation all the while Taya continued. "Besides, I'm pretty sure we all don't want to become a vessel to that snake team. Just by the thought of it makes me sick already," finished Taya, to which they all shivered. "Agreed. Besides, while we are grateful for Orochimaru for similar situations in our lives, he mainly saw us as potential experiments or just tools. While I understand that shinobi are considered tools, Orochimaru not only took it too far, but took it to a whole other level," said Kin, to which she remembered the glimpse of people being subjugated by cruel experiments, especially from the younger ones. But she also thought about the words of a certain blonde gave to her. She sighed, thanking him about her new outlook in life. "Still thinking about this Naruto fellow, Kin?" asked a curious Karen, to which Kin nodded. "Don't worry, Kin, I am too. I still haven't forgotten the fact that he saved me from that bear back in the forest of death," she said as she blushed a little. "I am too, I would have suffered a terrible fate had it not been for that blonde cutie," Taya said, to which she stopped. "Wait, did I just call him cutie?" she said as she blushed, which resulted in the rest of the group to chuckle. "I guess we all have a crush on him," said the group minus Yukimaru. "I am curious, Gurren, how did you manage to like Naruto?" asked Kin, which caught Karen and Taya's attention. They too are curious to what made Gurren like him. She sighed, knowing very well to answer honestly. "He saved Yukimaru from being taken away from me by some sound nin during the invasion. Had I not known that Orochimaru planned to use my now little boy as a test subject for future bloodlines, I wouldn't be in this situation. That and Yuki-chan asked me a question that I had no choice but to answer yes," answered Gurren. "What was the question, Gurren-san?" asked a curious Karen. Gurren was about to dismiss it until Yukimaru responded. "I asked if the blonde boy is gonna be my new dad when he get to see him, and does that also mean I can be the son you never had?" exclaimed Yukimaru as Gurren blushed red as much as Karen's hair, which caused the rest to laugh. "She also asked if we can give her a little brother. I told him only time will tell," finished Gurren with a blush still on her face. "Howie!" exclaimed the group of girls. "Wait," everyone turned to Kin. "I saw him first. It's only fair I get to make the first move, besides we have a special connection," said Kin with a determined look. "No, technically I saw him first. He did save me from the forest of death," said Karen with a pout. "I don't care if we all saw him first, he saved me from a death sentence, it's only fair that I return the favor," said a determined Taya. While she does not mind sharing a boy, she will beat the competition no matter what. "I promised Yukimaru that I will give him a little brother, and that's what I'm gonna do," said a passive yet determined Gurren. "Look," the former Sound Genin spoke up. "Since we can't find a way to settle this, let's talk with Naruto-san about this when we get to our destination." "Agreed," said Kin, not wanting to waste any time over about just yet. "Very well, but know this and know this well, all of you." Taya spoke in a slight authoritative tone. "Also cover his ears." Gurren knew what she was gonna say, so reluctantly she did so. "I'm gonna claim that bastard before all of you, and none of you will do a thing about it," the dark Pinkette stated in an assured manner. "What do you mean by that?" asked Karen, her face in an investigated tone. Taya simply raised her pinky finger and stick her tongue out. The Sound Kunoichi immediately knew what that meant and immediately began arguing once more. "Ahem," said a voice, to which the Sound 4 went on guard. Yukimaru hid behind Gurren. They saw what looked to be a guy who happens to be in his late 20s compared to the group but looked to have more experience. Wearing a black Kusa straw hat with incomplete yoroi with no back pads. His armor looks to be made of leather with bits of metal on certain vital points around the body. He carries a large bag with him full of food and other belongings. "I don't mean to interrupt, but I've ensured that any and all evidence regarding your involvement has been erased and out of the picture," said the man. "Baku, it's good to see you," said Kin and Gurren at the same time. "Wait, he's your spy too," they said together, to which he laughed a bit. "Apologies for the bit of trickery, but you both did tell me not to tell anyone to prevent any suspicions," said the man now known as Baku. "Understandable," they both mumbled. "Alright, enough chit-chatting, let us set sail. I know the shores better than anyone here," said Baku, with pride, no disrespect. He apologized. "None taken," they said, and Kin continued, "After all, we don't have experience when it comes to operating ships, so please lead the way," finished Kin. "We're coming to pay a debt we owe by sticking by you no matter what, Naruto-kun," the group thought minus Baku and Yukimaru as they made way up north. "Next up, island of Tsushima," said Baku with happiness in his voice, to which he began the journey. Things were definitely going to get better. End of chapter 2. What if Naruto married in Samurai Clan? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like if you guys need the next part, comment down, and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.